Let we go.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Yo, welcome into a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp sitting in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert as they are both on vacation. I was with you yesterday. I'm going to be with you today as well as tomorrow. We got a ton to get to today. It was a big sports day throughout Louisiana. We'll get into all of it. We're going to talk some LSU football in the next segment. Get a little preview into spring. Some Pelicans recap as they played the Suns last night. Then in the 8 o'clock hour, we're going to talk Saints, possible free agency. We're going to do a little bit of OTB Mailbag, and then Zach Nagy from LSU Country is going to hop on. He's going to give us a boots-on-the-ground report from spring practice as he will be out there this morning. Then Nick Underhill at 9 a.m., LSU Baseball at 9:15. We may even talk some hockey, not sure. Anything goes for today. Again, Taylor Sharp here with you, Alondra Villarreal on the audio board, Jacob Beck on video. Guys, how is y'all's morning going so far?
It could be better.
I'll let Jacob answer that
Well,
one.
what happened, Mr. Beck?
Well, I was on my way to work, and my car's lights started flickering on and off, and it was a little bit eerie, and then it wouldn't shift, and then it pretty much just turned off. So I'm pretty sure my alternator is gone. So it was about 20 minutes before the show started, and I called you, and then Alondra.
So who saved the day?
Alondra had to come pick me up, and that's how
I
we're
was
here.
hauling ass.
You did.
I was going
so Jacob calls
I don't want
me
to say it. But.
Jacob calls me at 6:40 and was like, "Hey, I'm close to work, but my car died." So I go downstairs and tell Alondra, I'm like, "Hey, how far is it from Zippy's at Perkins?" And she's like, "I don't know, let me map it." She's like, 7 minutes. I was like, "Can you be there and back in 18 minutes?" Because it's 6:42 right now. She's like, "I'll do my best." They come upstairs smoking into this studio at 6:57. But you know what? We made it. We are here, and we are going to have a full show. I was fully prepared for both of you to not be back in time and me do the first segment from the audio chair. So this is a lot better. Shout out to Alondra. Employee of the week. I'm putting it in today. Yeah. Will it get approved? Probably not, because no one listens to me, but I'm going to put it in nonetheless. Look, like I mentioned, big sports day here in Louisiana, or should I say yesterday evening. And we're going to start where pretty much every show on this station is going to start today, and that's going to be the LSU women's basketball team. Unfortunately, the Tiger season does come to an end last night in the Elite Eight. The Iowa Hawkeyes get the victory 94-87, but look, this was one of the most hyped up women's basketball games I ever remember. I mean, I sat there and watched a 1 hour pregame show. This is on national ESPN yesterday evening after I got home from work, and it was a game that lived up to the billing. I mean, Iowa wins by 7, but this game was neck and neck. I mean, right down to the wire. I want to kind of go by quarter. I kind of took notes as I was watching this game, went quarter by quarter. And, when the game started, the first 5 minutes, you're like, LSU's going to be in trouble because Iowa came out absolutely smoking. I mean, they were scorching. Everyone's hitting threes. Caitlin Clark's doing her thing. The thing that kept LSU in this game in the first quarter, because as you know, LSU can hit threes when they need to. They're not a team that particularly relies on it. It was Angel Reese and her second chance points. I mean, she got offensive rebound after offensive rebound. Those second chance points were absolutely huge to help LSU keep pace in this basketball game. I was role players outside of Caitlin Clark. I thought they shot really well early on, but LSU weathered the storm. They tightened up on defense. They got some steals, and their points in transition helped them take the lead. They actually led this game to close out that first quarter. In the second quarter, something happened that this is kind of what everyone's discussing. Angel Reese tweaked her ankle going to block a shot under Iowa's goal. Now, she came back in. She only missed 4 or 5 minutes of action, and she was still effective when she came back into the game, but something was off. I mean, was she a step slow? I did think LSU did a bad job of getting her the ball down low in the second half. We'll get there in a minute, but again, she came back in. She battled through that injury. Back and forth game in the second quarter. It was actually tied 45 apiece at halftime. So you're feeling good because Iowa comes out shooting so hot from the field. We know how quickly Caitlin Clark and that group can get hot. You come back, you take the lead in the first quarter, you weather that storm without Angel Reese in there in the second, you still tie it at halftime, and you're feeling good about where you're at. The issue is, it was the third quarter. I think that was kind of the turning point of this game. Caitlin Clark turned it on in a big way. I mean, she was on another level coming out of halftime, and then LSU got a little cold. There was sloppy ball movement by the Tigers. Again, Angel Reese, it wasn't that she was ineffective, but from the 6:21 mark in the second quarter all the way till the 2:45 mark in the third quarter, she did not have a made basket on a field goal attempt. That's unacceptable. And it wasn't really her. I mean, the team wasn't getting her the ball, and I get it. Iowa did a great job of closing down on her, forcing other players to make shots. A couple of them did. We'll get into them in just a minute, but Angel Reese kept you in this game. You got to draw something up. You got to get her the ball by any means necessary because she was keeping you in this game. Now, LSU went down by 13 with 2:45 to go in the third quarter. They were really never able to recover from that. They trailed by 11 heading into the fourth quarter. It was 69-58 heading into that fourth. It was a battle. LSU tried to cut into that Iowa lead, but every time it looked like they were going to cut into it, they would chip away at it. It's a 9-point lead. It's only a 7-point lead by Iowa. Caitlin Clark would do her thing and, hit a couple big threes. They'd go back up. And the final score showed. I mean, that's how Iowa won by 7. They were able to maintain that 11-point lead they had in the fourth quarter. And that's ultimately what helped them go to that 94-87 victory. I thought LSU did a really good job in this game. I mean, I get it. They lost. It's an Elite 8 team. You were playing a 1 seed. You were a 3 seed. You knew it was going to be a battle either way. The biggest issue I had, we talked about it yesterday. Caitlin Clark is going to get hers. She is almost impossible to guard on this level. She is going to score points regardless of what defense you throw at her, regardless of what defender you put on her. She's going to score points. She's too good. You have to limit the production of the other Iowa Hawkeyes players around Caitlin Clark. LSU did that to an extent in the first half. I thought they limited the damage of the Iowa Hawkeye role players. But in the second half, that wasn't the case. Martin, they let her go down low all night long. She shot 50% from the floor. She finished with 21 points. She had 6 rebounds. I talked about it. Angel Reese's injury kind of limited her production on the boards in the second half. Martin was the beneficiary of that. She had 6 rebounds. I believe 4 of them were in that second half. Another player on their team, she goes with 16. She was 2 for 3 from behind the arc, and they shot well from free throw line. Even though they didn't get there a ton, they were 17 of 22. That's 77%. 42% from behind the arc. Caitlin Clark, I mean, what else is there to say about her? 13 of 29, 9 for 20 from 3, so dang near 50% from 3. 6 for 7 from the free throw line. She had 41 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds. She was incredible. Now, on the LSU side of things, I thought there were bright spots as well. I mean, we talked about it. Angel Reese was an absolute monster in this game. Keep in mind, she was hobbled in the second half. We talked about it earlier, that injury that she had in the second quarter. Slowed her down a little bit, not much. She was efficient. 17 points, 20 rebounds, 10 on offense, 10 on defense. There's 10 offensive boards. We talked about them in the first half. That really kept you in that game. I mean, she's kind of the sole reason that this basketball game was tied going into halftime. She was huge in this game. I thought Anissa Morrow was big. And she actually struggled out of the gate to shoot, but she finished pretty well. She did 7 of 18 from the court, 14 points, 14 rebounds. So you get 14 and 14 from Morrow, 17 and 20 from Reese. We talked about this a couple days ago. They are the only duo in college basketball to have at least 20 double-doubles on the season combined in the same year. I mean, they're a mismatch down low, and it showed. Both of those players really kept you in this basketball game. I thought Michaela Williams was great, 4 for 8 from 3. She had 7 rebounds, 3 assists. She finished with 18 points. And then Flau'jae Johnson has really become a complete basketball player. Here's what Flau'jae's done in the tournament. She's played 5 games in the NCAA tournament. 14 points, 21 points, 21 points, 24 points, and 23 last night on 10 of 18 shooting. Now, she was only 1 for 6 from 3, but that's not her game. It was the transition opportunities, right? She had 2 assists. She had 6 rebounds. She's great in the fast break. She's one of the fastest players, if not the fastest player on the court in any given game. You didn't get anything off of your bench, but you didn't expect to. You actually outscored Iowa by 1 off your bench. Last year, POA gives you 6 points off the bench. O'Grady gave them 5 off the bench. My concern going into this game, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, you didn't have depth. And I wouldn't have a ton of depth either, but when you have a player like Caitlin Clark, how much depth do you really need? LSU doesn't have a ton of shooters on that court. I mean, Michaela Williams can knock them down. Haley Van Lith, she's been inconsistent from 3, but when she's hot, she's hot. The issue that I had going into this game, what happened last year when LSU played Iowa? It was the bench players that made the difference for you, right? Because Clark's going to get hers. You're going to have to match that with about 3 or 4 different players. Jasmine Carson did not miss a 3-pointer in the first half of that national championship game. She finished with, 22 points off the bench? I mean, that never happens. When you have a bench player come in and score 22 in a national championship game, you should be favored to win every single game. You're winning that 9 times out of 10. You didn't have that this year. It's nobody's fault. Things happen. Early in the year, you thought Samaya Smith was going to be a big piece to this basketball team. She tears her knee. She's out for the year. Kateri Poole, she leaves the team. She was going to be a big piece. She actually started at the point guard position in last year's national championship game. POA came off the bench once again. Those two were kind of interchangeable last year. So while you're running a 7-player rotation, 9 would have been huge for you. Because Smith was a knockdown shooter at the beginning of the year before she got hurt. Kateri Poole, she was a great distributor. She was excellent on defense. She could shoot a little bit. If you had those 2 players, I think this would have been a different basketball game. But look, in the course of a long season, sometimes things happen that are uncontrollable. I'm still really proud of where this team is. Because make no mistake about it, you lacked scoring off the bench. You only ran a 7-person rotation. I still don't believe you had a true point guard. Now, Flau'jae Johnson and Haley Van Lith, they made it work because they're probably the 2 most athletic players on the court, but neither of them are a true pass-first distributing point guard. And you still made it to the Elite 8. So while it sucks that LSU lost this game, their season's over, they're not going to repeat as national champs, there's a lot to be happy about, and there's a lot to look forward to for next season. We don't know Angel Reese's status. We don't know the status of Haley Van Lith. Michaela Williams is a freshman. She's back. Flau'jae Johnson's a sophomore. By all accounts, she's back. Aaliyah Del Rosario, while she didn't score a ton off the bench, she showed you a lot. Whether it's her defense, whether it's her rebounding, if the scoring can come along with that, you have a lot of good pieces moving into next season. I'm excited about the future. I mean, it was one of those things last night where I was bummed out at the result of this basketball game, but after about 5 minutes, I was like, hey, look, they accomplished a lot this season. They came into this game shorthanded. You knew it was going to be a battle. Caitlin Clark won this battle. You won the battle last year. You have a lot to look forward to next season. Kim Mulkey is not a flash in the pan. If we know anything about her, she is a consistent winner at the highest possible level. This team will be back in a big way, and it'll probably be next year. So again, Iowa 94, LSU 87. The LSU women's basketball team season came to an end last night, but I still think the future is bright here in Baton Rouge. Look, we're going to take a quick timeout. On the other side, I want to talk LSU spring football a little bit. I want to look at some of the most important players that need to have a big spring, that are having a big spring, and what they could do in that spring game and how vital their success is to the Tigers here in 2024. That's coming up on the other side of the break here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Trash Rangers. Yum. If you need somebody who is going to provide you a level of service that you are not getting currently from your waste management company, well, if you're in a city or lives in parish, listen up, because you're lucky. You have a choice. You can go with the local guys, the red cans, the red trucks. You see it all over town. The other day, Taylor was telling me about a thread he found on Facebook in the wild where somebody basically asked, hey, I keep seeing this, like, should I switch over? And it was like 50 to 60 comments like, yes, the service is unparalleled. The prices are the best. They text you the night before they're coming out of your home, so you never forget to put out the trash again. And the profits, unlike these other companies, instead of leaving the state, they stay right here in your community. Trash Rangers.
Look, I'm looking at a review right now from James D. Reliable, better pricing than their competitors. We have told everyone who will listen about Trash Rangers and how happy we are. TrashRangersLLC.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way.
Join me for a Tuesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show, presented by Pluckers. Our Kim Mulkey's Tigers headed to the Final Four. And a recap of LSU and Southern from the box. Hunt Palmer Show, 1 to 3 weekdays, 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Okay, nobody make fun of me. Alondra, what song is that?
This is only by 9 Inch Nails.
I like it.
It's a good
catchy.
song.
It's like,
You've never heard this song?
I don't think so.
I think if it started, you would be like, oh yeah. I know
Yeah,
this
maybe.
song.
I like the beat. T-Bob would have made fun of me. I appreciate that you guys did
he
not.
probably would've. I mean,
No, I like it. I don't know a ton of 9 Inch Nails. I know of them, but shout out, good song. All right, look, we teased it going into the break. Want to talk a little LSU football here. They are back on the practice field today for spring practice. Want to kind of look at the top 5 most important players during spring ball for LSU because, look, you're losing a lot of production from last year's team. You're bringing in Blake Baker, a new defensive coordinator. Joe Sloan, who had been on the staff, he hadn't been the offensive coordinator. Him and Cortez Hankton are going to kind of tag team it, but Joe Sloan is going to be the play caller. How is all of this going to work out, and which players are going to kind of help pick up the slack for those other players who are moving on? First name on the list, I don't know if you guys are ready for this one. It's super out there. How about Garrett Nussmeier? Obviously, Garrett Nussmeier, starting quarterback And look, I get it. He's been on the team for a while. And you could say, well, this one's kind of a given. Yeah, but he's working with a new offensive coordinator, a guy he's familiar with in Joe Sloan because Sloan was the QB coach last year. But this is Nussmeier's first spring. This is his fourth spring at LSU. This is his first spring going in knowing that he's the guy, that he's the starting quarterback. How does his mindset change? Now, you heard Brian Kelly, every time he meets with the media, he is obviously asked about Garrett Nussmeier, and he said, look, Nuss has been a leader since he's been with this program. Since I've been here, this is going on Brian Kelly's third year. He said Nuss has been a guy who stepped up and been a vocal leader. And that's fine, but now your mindset has to change. Now your preparation has to change. How is that going to work for Garrett Nussmeier? It's one thing being a leader and being vocal and picking up your teammates when you're not the guy every day. Now all eyes are on you. Not only do you have to be a vocal leader, you also have to lead by example. Curious to see how Nussmeier is going to manage that. All accounts coming out of spring right now is he has a really good connection with both Kyron Lacey and Chris Hilton. I think he's going to be just fine. He's a guy that's been in this program for 4 years. This is his third year under Brian Kelly. Similar system that Joe Sloan's going to run, by all accounts, that Mike Denbrock ran. I think Nuss is going to be just fine. Second most important guy I want to talk about, and this is a position that you were paper thin at. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. It's Jacoby and Guillory. Because you didn't recruit well at this position. It's not the coach and staff's fault, right? We talked about this yesterday. You felt really good about your retention. We know this because Brian Kelly said as much during his signing day press conference. He was asked, hey, you kind of lack some talent on the defensive line as far as this recruiting class goes. Interior defensive line. You brought in a lot of pass rushers. And Kelly straight up said, we feel really good about retention at this position. The retention didn't happen. You knew Jordan Jefferson was moving on, but Mekhi Wingo goes to the NFL. Mason Smith shocked everyone. He's going to the NFL. You got a lot of new faces out there. We discussed it a little bit yesterday. All these guys are going to have to be cross-trained a little bit. Is Savion Jones going to play a little bit inside? Is Paris Shand going to play a little bit inside? We're not sure. The one constant is going to be Jacoby and Guillory. He's the only guy on this team that really has SEC starting experience because he has started a few games here with the Tigers. So whoever your secondary piece is on that defensive line as far as defensive tackle, you assume that they're going to be with Jacoby and Guillory. Could it be Jalen Lee? He's a transfer. He's been in college a while, hadn't played a ton of games. Dominic McKinley will come in the fall. He's not even here in the spring as a true freshman. He doesn't have a ton of experience. Whether it's Jones or Shand or whoever moving them inside, cross-training them a little bit, they don't have a ton of experience at defensive tackle. Jacoby and Guillory is going to have to be the leader of that group because he does have that experience. He has to be the leader, and this is such a vital group that needs to play well in order for this LSU defense to have success. So I think Jacoby and Guillory is incredibly important for LSU during spring practice, not just a performance standpoint, which I think he'll do fine in, but a leadership standpoint. The next player I want to highlight is center DJ Chester. Your offensive line outside of Charles Turner is back. I mean, from left to right, you're probably game one going to see Will Campbell, Garrett Dellinger. At the other guard, it's going to be Miles Frazier and then Emory Jones at right tackle. DJ Chester's your only new piece because Charles Turner has moved on. He's a true sophomore. He played a lot last year as a freshman, and they're really high on this guy. If you remember in the Missouri game, Charles Turner went down with an injury. They put in Marlon Martinez. Martinez had the high snap. They immediately went to DJ Chester. He went in there. He was a calming presence. He played well. He looked like he belonged in that game against Missouri. The moment was not too big for him, and that was a top 25 matchup in the SEC on the road. He showed a lot of poise there. Chester's important. He's going to make all the calls on this offensive line, and he's got to have chemistry with his quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier. Everything goes as DJ Chester goes. He's kind of the one question mark on this offensive line because, again, 4 of your 5 starters from that really good offensive line a year ago are returning. Both tackles, both guards. Chester, he's the one that everyone's going to be watching all spring, all fall practice, and come game 1 against USC. I think he's going to do fine. You heard an interview with him the other day. Everyone on the coaching staff talks about how football smart this guy is. He's super intelligent. He's able to make all the calls. It should be an easy transition for him. I'm excited to watch him, but we still have to see it nonetheless. I think he's going to be fine, but it is something that we are going to have to keep an eye out on. Player number 4 is Major Burns for me. Now, I know that may seem like a weird one to a lot of you because Major Burns has been on the team for a while. He's been at LSU like 25 years. But he's playing a new position. I thought that was the biggest takeaway from Brian Kelly's recent press conference. He was talking about Major Burns playing that star position, which is a glorified nickel in Blake Baker's defense. I think Major Burns fits that position like a glove. He's tall, he's fast, he can jam you at the line of scrimmage because he has the size to do so. Burns' biggest issue is that he hasn't been creating coverage in the back end. If you put him at the star position, he doesn't have to do that. He's a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. He can cover that tight end. He can cover the slot receivers on those short pass routes. I really like him in this position. Plus, he can be another veteran presence out there on your defense like he has been, but in a new role. Also, if you put Burns at the star position, you can move Sage Ryan out of there. Ryan's a guy that's kind of struggled to find a spot, right? He came in as a 5-star safety. He hasn't really played a lot of true safety. He starts at nickel for a couple years. Last year, you had to put him at corner out of necessity. Then you put him back at nickel. If you could put him back at safety, which is probably his natural position, maybe we can get the Sage Ryan that we all thought we were going to get. Because we've seen flashes of Sage Ryan. It's just been inconsistent. But how much is that his fault? It's a lot like Jacoby Stevens when he came in, right? He was a 5-star safety, but he had the body to be able to play multiple positions. You put him at linebacker. You moved him to receiver for a season or about half a season. Then you moved him back to safety, and he was an integral part of that 2019 LSU defense. Him and Grant Delpit in the back end. The same thing could be said for Sage Ryan. Maybe that's what he needs. A change of position to put him back at his true spot at safety. Moving Major Burns to that star position could help with that. Now, Sage Ryan could still train there as well because he's played that spot. He could be a backup to Major Burns if you need. Also, what it does is it opens up a spot for Ryan Yates, who I thought played really well last year as a freshman. He's a guy that hadn't had a lot of talk in the spring so far. People are kind of forgetting about him. He's under the radar, but Ryan Yates came in as a true freshman last year, a lot like DJ Chester, in SEC games, in high moments, and he made plays for this team. He's a guy to keep an eye on as well. You have a ton of talent coming in at safety as well. The LSU staff loves Jordan Gilbert, the A&M transfer. I mean, he played ball right down the road at U-High. He is back here at LSU. He's a guy that has multiple years of college experience. So you have options at safety outside of Major Burns, and I think this spot fits Major Burns a lot better. He's a guy I'm going to be watching. Last player I want to highlight is Caleb Williams. And the reason is pretty obvious, right? You're super thin at running back. You have 2 scholarship running backs in the spring, and Josh Williams is limited in what he's going to be able to do because he is dealing with a nagging injury. Plus, you know what Williams is going to do. Williams has been here for 5 years. You know what you're going to get at him. A super consistent player. He can run between the tackles. He can catch out the backfield. And he's a great pass blocker. He can do everything you need. You saw the flashes of Caleb Williams. Can he become that complete back? Can he have better hands out of the backfield? He had a few drops early on in his freshman year. Can he become a better pass blocker? That's kind of the biggest adjustment that running backs have to make at the next level from high school to college. You always hear it. How good can they be at picking up blitzes? If Caleb Williams can become a better pass catcher and be better in pass blocking, he could be the best back on your entire team. I mean, we saw how electric this guy is with the ball in his hands. I mean, he made highlight play after highlight play. Even if he's not your RB1, even if they do want to go with Josh Williams, you still need that 1-2 punch. And if one of them has to come off the field, you know that Williams can do everything that Josh Williams can do. Because with Caleb Jackson, the talent's there. The size is there, right? With Williams and Jackson, if Caleb Jackson steps up like we think he can, gets into his full potential, I think you could have one of the better 1-2 punches in the SEC. Now, you're not going to have the numbers you had last year. I think going into the season, you had almost 8 scholarship running backs. You're not going to have that. We don't know the status of Trey Holly. That's going to play itself out over time. You do have Caden Durham coming in, but he's not going to be here till the fall. I do expect him to get some carries early in the season because you lack numbers. But Caleb Jackson's going to be a big piece of this offense. And if he can take that next step, that could really help you, right? Because you're losing a lot of your rushing with Jaden Daniels leaving. You lose Jaden Daniels. You lose Noah Kane as well. He was really good in the short yardage. The only rushing you really return is Josh Williams. Caleb Jackson could be that secondary piece to help alleviate and kind of pick up some of that rushing that you lose with a guy like Jaden Daniels. All right, look, that's going to do it for LSU football in hour number 1. In hour number 2 at about 8:30, we are going to be joined by Zach Nagy. He's going to be out at LSU practice this morning. We're going to call him right as he gets off that practice field. He's going to give us boots on the ground coverage, kind of dive a little bit deeper into what we just discussed. That was a lot of surface level stuff right there. We're going to take a quick timeout. We're going to shift our focus to the New Orleans Pelicans because they had a game last night, and I believe this squad is unfortunately trending in the wrong direction. We'll get into that coming up on the other side of this break here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Community Steel Company, CommunitySteelCo.com, CommunitySteelCo.com. They're in Gonzales, Louisiana, and if you have steel needs, be it purlin, tubing, sheet metal, steel buildings, metal buildings, anything, it's all there, and it's all made there on site, all your accessories, everything, y'all. But that's the best part, because it's straight from the wholesaler to them manufacture the goods on site, no middleman jacking up the price on the back end. You get the best price point. You get the best customer service with a live and local sales team, and your personal or business needs are met. It's why they are quite literally disrupting the steel industry. Community Steel Company, CommunitySteelCo.com.
When you go to the website, top right corner, click on Community Steel because they've been open for an hour and 48 minutes already, and they're waiting on you. You can go in, see them in Gonzales, Louisiana. But if you're in a different area listening to us, don't worry, because you can pick up the phone, give them a call, 225-647-2020. And again, always online at CommunitySteelCo.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Tuesday's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. LSU-Iowa with a spot in the Final Four on the line. We're recapping the Tigers and Hawkeyes. Join us 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge and the Baton Rouge Clinic bring you the Dreams Come True Radiothon. Dreams Come True is an organization designed to help grant dreams for children with life-threatening illnesses and their families. The Dreams Come True Radiothon is presented today by Service Chevrolet, Lewis Mechanical, and the Lucky Law Firm. Donate today at 1045ESPN.com.
Welcome back in to Off the Bench. I know this song. This is a good one. This is not Nine Inch Nails.
Not Nine Inch Nails.
Didn't think so.
No.
Look, we teased it before the break. I want to get into the New Orleans Pelicans because I'm sure everyone's eyes were on LSU women's basketball and then immediately to the baseball game, which unfortunately we will get into later. But Pelicans had a game last night, and a lot like both of your Tigers teams, they fell to the Phoenix Suns. It was 124-111. Now, the Pelicans scored a lot of points. You can see the 111 there up on the scoreboard. I thought they played well offensively. I thought Zion was super efficient, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday. He needed to be better from the free throw line, and he was. He was 10 of 13 from the foul line. He finished with 30 points. He had the 2 rebounds. He had 5 assists. You got production out of Trey Murphy, which you know that's going to come. He is a bona fide scorer in this league. He goes 7 of 14, 4 for 10 from 3, 21 points. Little bit of an off night for CJ McCollum. He has 15 points, but he goes 6 for 17. Not terrible, but not quite what you want. He did have 9 assists. He was kind of the distributor. We talk all in this show all the time about point Zion. Well, it was point McCollum last night, which I actually don't have a problem with. I don't know if I prefer it that way. Zion's super good with the ball in his hand, getting it out to his teammates, but I think McCollum is as well. I think that's an underrated part of his game. Jonas Valanciunas, 24 minutes last night. That's why you were able to score more offensively, right? He has to get more minutes in this game. 5 for 10, 7 rebounds. He had 1 assist. He finished with 11 points. So he did his part. Herb Jones, 4 steals, 3 assists, 9 points. And you're looking at it, you're like, well, how did they lose this game? Well, Devin Booker was a big reason why. Devin Booker had 52 points last night. 19 of 28 from the court, 8 of 16 from 3. So he was 50% from beyond the arc. He also had 9 assists and 3 rebounds. Games when someone drops 50, it's hard to win games. But it was the Pelicans defense that I was most disappointed with. It's not that they were playing bad. It's not that they got bullied on the boards, because when you look at the total stats, the numbers are pretty even across the board. I mean, total rebounds, 37-49. So you did get beat by 12 there. But offensive rebounds, it was 16-12. So it's not like the Suns just dominated the glass and got a bunch of second chance opportunities. That's not the case. The issue was you were just lackluster on defense. And I get it. Devin Booker scored 52 points, but it was the other guys around him. When one player's going off like that and he's hot, it's a lot like we were talking about in the early segment, right, with Caitlin Clark. You know she's going to get hers. You have to limit what everybody else does. You didn't do that. Kevin Durant pours in 20. Yusuf Nurkic, he has 19 points and 19 rebounds. He's a rebounding machine. I had him in weekend winners about a month ago. He had 30 rebounds in a basketball game earlier this year. It's incredible. I mean, he's going to rebound. You have to limit what he does offensively. Bradley Beal poured in 13. Grayson Allen poured in 11. Every one of your starters finished in double digits. Also, the Pelicans didn't get any help from their bench either. Now, Larry Nance Jr. came in. He had 9 points and 7 rebounds in 19 minutes. I am fine with that. You have to get more from Dyson Daniels offensively. I get it. He's mainly in there for defensive purposes, but this is a guy that's getting double-digit minutes off the bench every single night. You have to get more than 4 points out of him. Jordan Hawkins went in there, 15 minutes. He needs to be more aggressive. He took 3 shots last game in their loss to the Celtics. He took 3 shots again. He was actually 1 for 2 from 3, 1 for 3 total. Finished with 3 points. You need more out of him. I thought Dyson Daniels actually had a nice game, which is good because you relied on him a lot. 25 minutes off the bench, 4 for 8 shooting, 9 points. He had 7 rebounds and 5 assists. He did a little bit of everything for you. He was probably your best role player in this game outside of your starting 5. The problem is you don't have that dominant scoring bench player coming in anymore. It was Trey Murphy for a while. Trey Murphy is now in that starting lineup because of Brandon Ingram. You desperately need Brandon Ingram to come back. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, and you're like, well, you can ease him back. He has to get back as soon as he possibly can. When you look at the NBA standings, they're fading. They still hold the 6th spot, but they are only 1 game lead over the Suns. The Suns are 44-31. The Pelicans are 45-30. So you have a 1 game lead over that 7th spot, which is ultimately a play-in. And then the Suns only have a half game lead over the Kings at 43-31. So you're a game and a half from the 8th spot. Now, you're only half a game back from the Dallas Mavericks, but the way Luka Doncic and company are playing, I don't know if you can catch them without Brandon Ingram, because they're on a tear right now. If you fall to that 7 and 8 line, it may not seem like a big deal, but that play-in is everything, especially because of who's sitting there at 9 and 10. The Los Angeles Lakers are currently the 9 seed, and at the 10 spot, it's the Golden State Warriors. I get it. Those are 2 older teams. Those teams are not what they were 3 or 4 years ago. It doesn't matter, though. It's LeBron James. It's Steph Curry. Do you really want to face LeBron James and Steph Curry come playoff time? I don't. As a Pelicans fan, I absolutely do not. I would like to avoid that at all costs. Let the Suns and Kings worry about that. You take care of your business in the regular season. You play your matchup, and you don't have to worry about the play-in game. Because if you go play the Lakers, you go play the Warriors, we've seen what LeBron James does in the playoff. They call him playoff LeBron for a reason. We've seen what Steph Curry does. I get it. Curry's older. He doesn't have the help of his teammates like he used to. Klay Thompson's coming off the bench. He's not the scorer that he was. Draymond, he's all over the place. Who knows if he's going to even play. He might get a technical in the first 5 minutes to be ejected. But they're still the Golden State Warriors. You still have the best shooter in NBA history in Steph Curry on that team, and you still have a coach in Steve Kerr who knows how to win. For LeBron, he's a 4-time NBA champion. He's one of the best players that ever stepped foot on a basketball court. I don't care that he's 38 years old. It makes no difference to me. Because in the play-in, anything can happen. It's the playoffs. We see LeBron time and time again step up his game to another level in order to make it into the playoffs. You want to avoid that 7-8 line as much as you can. Now, Brandon Ingram's injury was 2 Thursdays ago. This Thursday will make 2 weeks. You have the San Antonio Spurs coming up on Friday. That is a very winnable game with or without Brandon Ingram. So I'm not worried about Ingram playing on Friday against the Spurs as much. But a few games after that, I mean, you got to try to get him back. I'm not for rushing anybody back, but this team is fading and fading fast without him. I get it. You can say, well, they haven't lost any ground. They have, though. They have a 1-game lead for the 7th spot and a 1.5 lead the 8th spot. You drop a game, you drop your next 2, you're in the 8th spot as long as the Suns and the Kings win. And then boom, now you got to battle your way back out of that play-in spot where you thought you firmly were a couple weeks ago. You were a 4 seed a couple weeks ago. Now you're at 6 and you're barely hanging on. You have to fix this. You got to play better defensively. You cannot give up 124 points because you don't have the scoring of Brandon Ingram. I get it. Trey Murphy stepped in admirably in that starting role, but you're still missing the scoring of Brandon Ingram. Nobody on your bench currently can match that scoring output that Ingram had. Also, everything flowed better when Ingram was on the court. You had a lot better spacing. This group just hasn't played together as much as when Brandon Ingram's out there. You got to fix something. You got to fix it fast because you're on the verge of falling into that play-in line, and that hadn't worked out well for the Pelicans in the past. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, we're going to continue to talk NBA a little bit to close out hour number 1. That's coming up right after this. Here on Off the Bench, 104.5, ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
New, used, rentals, it's all there. Cheaper per day rental price than traditional rental companies. What if you get in an accident, though? You need a service center, body shop. You want to go into All-Star. They give you a free professional estimate. Insurance claims are welcome, of course. You mention OTB when you get $100 towards that deductible. So go take advantage of it today. All-Star Toyota Baton Rouge, All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com.
Go check out everything that they've got available, no matter what you're looking for. If you're looking for the minivan, if you're looking for full-size, mid-size SUV, if you're looking for a truck, multiple options and everything that we talk about, sedans, hybrids, you name it, they've got it. And they've got it when you're buying new, when you're leasing, and when you are renting. So no matter what you're doing, everything's available. You're not going to find that anywhere else. Certainly in the leasing and the rental department. So make that call today. Go to the website today as well. All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com. All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents.
Time to start dancing in the desert. It's the 2024 NCAA Men's Final Four in Phoenix. Tune in for live coverage starting Saturday afternoon at 3. From the team at Westwood One right here on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
All right, welcome back into the final segment of hour number 1 on this Tuesday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, sitting in for T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester. I'm with you today as well as tomorrow. They are both on vacation. I don't know where Jake is. I know T-Bob's in Cabo. He had an issue with his passport, as only T-Bob Hebert would. He got it figured out in the last minute, but he will be back on Thursday. Hester out for the rest of the week. Okay, look, we got just a few minutes, and I wanted to kind of continue our talk that we had last segment, because when you're looking at the standings where the Pelicans sit, you can't help but look at the youth movement of the NBA. I mean, all these young players that are really, really stepping up for their teams. So I kind of wanted to look at the top 5 players 25 and under, currently in the NBA. At number 5, I'm putting Victor Wembanyama. I understand that this is his first year in the league. I'm calling it right now, though. I mean, he's 21.6 points per game, 10.5 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and 3.5 blocks per game. 3.5 blocks per game as a rookie is probably the most impressive stat of all of those. And you saw this the other day. And, you know, it kind of got overshadowed because Jalen Brunson had a 61-point game with the Knicks. But the Spurs got that win. And Victor Wembanyama had a 40-16 game. He had 40 points, 16 rebounds. It was the first 40-point game of his career. He continues to get better and better, and he's already a complete player very early in his NBA career. He can shoot from the outside. He's a menace down low. He's good defensively. We already talked about all the blocks per game. And he can handle the ball. I mean, there's nothing Victor Wembanyama can't do, and he's going to continue to rise on this list as long as he stays healthy for the rest of his NBA career. At number 4, I'm putting Tyrese Maxey. He's a guy that's averaging 25.6 a game this year, 6.2 assists. He's shooting over 44%, 37% from 3. His numbers have also gotten better every single year in the league because if you remember, when Maxey was drafted, he was a bench player. He was a role player. He only averaged about 8 points a game as a rookie, but it's picked up steadily from there. He makes a huge jump year 1 to year 2, 17.5 points. That's when he was really inserted into the starting lineup out there in Philadelphia. Last season, 20 points. This year, 25.6. Joel Embiid's been out for a large portion of the year. He's still not back for the Sixers. The reason they are still in playoff contention right now is because of Tyrese Maxey. He's keeping that thing afloat while Joel Embiid gets healthy. And number 3, you got to put Tyrese Halliburton. I mean, he's a 6'5" point guard. He can do pretty much everything you need him to do on the court. And you look at what he's doing this season, 20.5 points per game, 11 assists at the point guard spot, 4 rebounds a game. He's also shooting really, really well. 86% from the free throw line, almost 50% from the court. And he's not bad from 3 as well. Pelicans took on Tyrese Halliburton recently, and he gave him the business a little bit. He's a guy that is very, very hard to stop, and as he fills out, as he gets a little bit more experience. And look, you got to understand, he's 24 years old, but this is 5th year in the NBA. He was a one and done in college. So while this is his 5th year in the NBA, he is still a young player. He's a guy that's already carrying this Indiana Pacers basketball team, and he's going to continue to do so. Number 2, I have Anthony Edwards because he is a highlight reel waiting to happen. He started as just a pure scorer coming out of Georgia, but he is much more of a complete player now. Like Tyrese Maxey, you've seen his numbers increase every single year he's been in the league. 19.3 points as a rookie, then 21.3, 24.6, 26 points a game this year. He's shooting over 46% this season. He also has a career-high 5.2 assists per game. We talked about it. He's becoming more of a complete player. His defense is an underrated part of his game as well. Now he's passing the ball. He's becoming a better ball handler, and his scoring is always going to be there. I like everything I've seen from Anthony Edwards, and he is an absolute star in this league. You hear more and more people talk about him, and that's not the case a lot of times with guys in Minnesota. I think he's the biggest star for the Timberwolves since Kevin Garnett was there. I don't think that's a reach to say. And finally, at number 1, what else needs to be said here? But it's Luka Doncic. I mean, he recently set the record for the most consecutive 30-point triple-doubles in the history of this league. He's carrying a Dallas Mavericks team that continues to get better. We were talking about them earlier. They're at that 5 slot. They're half a game up over the Pelicans because of that head-to-head. But it feels like a lot more than half a game the way this team's playing. Kyrie Irving's picking up his game, but it all starts with Luka Doncic. He's averaging 34 points per game this year. 9 rebounds, 9.8 assists. I mean, he's a walking triple-double this year. He's dang near averaging that. 9 rebounds, 9.8 assists to go along with 34 points. He's also shooting 38% from 3. Look, I don't think this is crazy to say because LeBron's getting older, Curry's getting older. I know Nikola Jokic does his thing night in and night out. I'm not taking anything away from him. I think Luka Doncic is the best player, not just on this list and not just 25 and under. I think he's the best player in the NBA. I mean, he's probably the most unguardable offensive player. Now, his defense does leave a lot to be desired, but he's picking that up. He's a great distributor. He's the primary ball handler for that team. Kyrie Irving's actually playing the 2 guard, which I like him a lot better at. I don't see a weakness in Luka's game. He also backs people down in the paint. I mean, he is a complete basketball player. He's only getting better, and he's only 25 years old. I mean, I think that Luka Doncic is one of the most complete basketball players we've seen in the NBA in quite some time. All right, look, that's going to wrap it up for hour number 1. I know that was a lot of information. We led off the show recapping LSU women's basketball. That was kind of the talk of the town. I'm sure every single show on the station is going to lead off with that. The Iowa Hawkeyes beat them 94-87. Then we got into a little LSU spring football, and then we hit some NBA. So a variety of topics there. At the top of hour number 2, we're going to talk some New Orleans Saints, some free agent possibilities that they could sign, not just on the offensive line, but somewhere at the defense as well. We're going to have OTB Mailbag. Zach Nagy from LSU Country is going to join us. Then we're going to get into a gambling story that is kind of under the radar. It's being overshadowed by Shohei Ohtani, but it's something that needs to be mentioned because this guy, his career could possibly be over. All right, look, that's going to wrap things up for hour number 1. When we get back, we are going to hit the New Orleans Saints. Then hour number 3, we're going to talk to Nick Underhill of NewOrleans.football at 9 a.m. Stay tuned for all of that on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Coleman Roofing and Construction. If you value integrity, if you value experience over 40 years, if you value innovation, right? Yes, been around for 40 years, but how do you stay ahead of the game? How do you continue to grow? By innovating, by staying ahead of the curve. These are all for you at ColemanRoof.com, Coleman Roofing and Construction. And look, they can do any size job, commercial, residential. You can do anywhere in the state, anywhere in the entire Gulf South region, any type of roof. They have certified installers for all the major brands. And it's the interiors as well. So, for instance, you get water damage on the inside or something, they can fix your drywall, insulation, anything like that. Tree falls, they can fix that. Like, they are your one-stop shop, Coleman Roofing and Construction.
Yeah, they truly can be that one-stop shop when everybody else can just fix the roof. They're going to be able to, like T-Bob said, do everything in between as well, and that's commercial and residential. And they're throughout the state of Louisiana, and if you want to find the information on where they're located and that contact information, go to ColemanRoof.com.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, P, they said I got to come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo.
Welcome into hour number 2 of Off the Bench on a Tuesday edition of OTB. Taylor Sharp here with you, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, filling in for a vacationing T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester. Look, recapping hour number 1 a little bit. We opened the show with LSU women's basketball. Look, obviously that's been the talk of the town today, and it will be for the remainder of the day. The Iowa Hawkeyes 94, LSU 87. We broke it down pretty in-depth to start the show, but we can look at it again. Look, it's one of those things where Caitlin Clark did her thing, and we previewed that a little bit yesterday, right? She's going to get hers regardless of how tough you play her. Can you limit what the other players offensively do? And they did that for the most part. However, Caitlin Clark really showed her skills in the passing game as well. A lot of the role players for Iowa stepped up in a big way. For LSU, though, I know a lot of people are defeated at this game, and you know they're pretty down and out. I understand that, but look, you just won a national championship a year ago, and it's not like you got bounced in the first round. I mean, you lost to a 1 seed in the Elite Eight, and you were shorthanded, and you pretty much were all season long. Most people forget that when they talk about LSU's lack of production off the bench, Samaya Smith was going to be a big-time shooter for this team. She was going to be a good role player coming off the bench for this team. Kateri Poole, she was coming off the bench. She was the starting point guard in last year's national championship game. She left the team for personal reasons. This team was pretty much shorthanded all year long. So coming into the season, you're like, oh, LSU only had a 7-player rotation. It should have been a 9-player rotation. Sometimes that doesn't happen. And look, you got to give credit to Caitlin Clark. 41 points, dang near a triple-double in that game. I mean, she made shots last night that makes you scratch your head. I mean, we've all seen the memes, right? It's Angel Reese and it's Haley Van Lith. They're just throwing up their arms because they're like, hey, that was perfect defense. What do I do about it? So while I'm disappointed in the result, it's not super surprising because it's so hard to beat a team twice, and it's so hard to beat a player like Caitlin Clark twice. Especially last year when I thought LSU had a lot better basketball team a year ago than they do this year. Kind of young this year outside of Angel Reese and Flau'jae Johnson because Haley Van Lith, veteran player, first year on the team. And Samara, veteran player, first year on this team in this program. Outside of Flau'jae and Angel Reese, you had a lot of new faces and some new spots. So nothing to hang your head about. I think that you have a lot to look forward to next year. Michaela Williams is coming back. She was just a freshman. You assume Flau'jae Johnson's back. No word yet on Haley Van Lith and Angel Reese. You're going to try everything you can to get them back. But even without them, I think you can get a pretty solid squad for next season. Okay, look, I want to hit on the New Orleans Saints right now. We have yet to do that today in this show. We're going to be joined at the 9 o'clock hour, straight up 9 o'clock by Nick Underhill of NewOrleans.football. I want to look at some free agent possibilities because we've talked time and time again on this show about how desperately they need offensive line, right? Everyone projects the Saints to go offensive line in the first round. There's a lot of people out there who are like, hey, I'd be okay with the Saints going offensive line with their first and second round pick. But there's solid free agents out there that are still left. We talked to John Hendricks yesterday, and we broke down a few of them. I wanted to take a look at a couple because I think you need guard and tackle. So we're going to look at a handful of guards and a handful of tackles. As far as the guards go, Laken Tomlinson's out there. Now, he's 32 years old. He's been with New York. They drafted him. They took a first-round pick on him. He was a really, really good prospect coming out of the University of Alabama. He's had an up-and-down career so far. A couple really good seasons, a couple lackluster seasons. He has had some injury issues, but Like a 32-year-old, so he's still got some left in the tank. Can you get him for the right price? I think that's the concern with him, as well as everyone on this list, because I get it. The Saints have tried to free up a lot of cap. They still don't have a ton of space left. But Laken Tomlinson's a guy worth kicking the tires on. Bring him in for a visit. Make sure his physicals check out. Again, he's a guy that's been dealing with a lot of injury, but he's been a productive player at times. And honestly, you hate to say it, he's probably better than anyone you have at this point, even if you don't believe in the hype of Laken Tomlinson. Also, Dalton Risner is still out there. Me and John Hendricks discussed Dalton Risner at length a little bit yesterday. He's a guy that was drafted by the Denver Broncos, spent a couple years there. Last few years, he's been with the Minnesota Vikings. He's had an up and down career as well, but when he's on, he's on. I mean, at one time, it was thought that he could be one of the best guards in the NFL. He's been trying to hold out for more money, and a lot of times that can hurt someone, right? You're trying to hold out for more money, but when everyone else is signing guards, you're kind of sitting there and you go into the prom without a date, if you will. So he may have to settle for a contract that he didn't think he was going to get. I think it's a perfect time for the Saints to swoop in there and get it. I mean, Dalton Risner, only 28 years old, still has a ton of football left. He's been a very productive player. Again, there's been some inconsistencies, but I mean, looking at your own offensive line, do you have a better option right now on your roster than Dalton Risner? I don't think so. Again, price is going to be the major concern with him, but if the price is right, why not take a shot on him? The last two guys I want to look at, the first one is a guy that's been in your building for the entirety of his career because it's who you drafted. Do you bring back Andrus Peat? At this point, I kind of think you do. Originally, I was like, no, Andrus Peat's been a liability at times. But his versatility cannot be understated. I mean, he was kind of a staple at your left tackle position last year. He had a turnstile at left tackle, which can't happen. You put him in there, and he gave you at least a little bit of stability. And you know he can play guard. He can pretty much play every spot on the offensive line outside of center. Why not Andrus Peat? You can bring him back, and he has obviously had a multitude of injuries in his NFL career, but when he's been on the field, he's been pretty productive. You know him. He's familiar with your system. He's familiar with Dennis Allen. He's a guy that you can do a lot with. Final guard I want to look at is Trey Turner. He's a guy that you signed last year to a one-year deal. He got hurt before the season even started. He was never able to play, but I mean, Saints fans were high on this guy a year ago. What happened? I get it. He had that injury. It was season ending. You always worry about a guy coming off of an injury, but he's a guy you can get for really cheap, and he is a former Pro Bowl offensive lineman. He's had a lot of really, really good seasons. He was great with the Panthers for a number of years. You saw that firsthand because you had to go against him twice a year. Like, I still like Dalton Risner. I still like a Laken Tomlinson, but if you can't get those guys, why not just go back to where you were with Andrus Peat and Trey Turner? Because, I mean, are they going to make you one of the top offensive lines in the NFL? Probably not. But they're a lot better than what you got. What you got now ain't working. You also need tackle, though. Guard's not the only spot on the offensive line that you need serious help. There's tackles out there as well. I mean, Mekhi Becton is the name that we discussed a little bit yesterday. He's the obvious standout, right? He's the big name guy. He's been up and down with the Jets. Do you play him at right tackle? Do you play him at left tackle? He played a little bit of both. Did some nice things at both spots. Had some struggles in both spots. Donovan Smith's another. He's 30 years old. He's leaving the Kansas City Chiefs. He may very well re-sign with them, but look, he's at a winning organization. He knows how to win football games. He was a solid member of that offensive line. Donovan Smith's a piece to look at. Veteran player. He can slide right in at left tackle. You feel good about it. Is he the best left tackle in the league? No, but he'll give you some stability. He could be a guy that you could sign on a one-year deal, a lot like you did Trey Turner a year ago. Trey Turner didn't work out because of injury, but he's a guy you could take a shot on. Last guy I want to look at, if you were dead set on signing an offensive lineman in the first round, which I think you should, and you want to plug that guy in as a day one starter at tackle, why not bring back Calvin Throckmorton? He'd been in your building for a few years. Now, he was a bench player. He was a role player, a swing guy. He would come in, play a little bit of guard, play a little bit of tackle when some of your guys got hurt, a spot starter, if you will. But, I mean, he held his own. He wasn't a world beater by any means, but he held his own. He could be a solid depth piece for you. I'm not saying sign Calvin Throckmorton and throw him in your starting lineup, but I mean, you need depth. You just need bodies on the offensive line at this point. Calvin Throckmorton could provide that for you. Spent last year at the Tennessee Titans. You could bring him back into this building. Again, a lot like Andrews Pete and Trey Turner. He is familiar with Dennis Allen and the rest of this organization. Might be a guy worth taking a shot on. A position I do want to look at, though, that I think is going a little bit under the radar. I mean, everyone's talking about corner. Hey, do you trade Marshawn Lattimore, which I think is off the table now. I don't think you do that whatsoever. I think you're fine at corner. You got Lattimore, you got Alontae Taylor, you got Paulson Adebo. All three of those guys are excellent players. I want to look at the safety position a little bit. Because you let Marcus May go. You restructured Tyrann Mathieu. And Matthew's getting a little bit older, and he's more of a box safety at this point in his career. I mean, he's not covering any receiver 25 yards down the field. That's not who Tyrann Mathieu is. There's a couple safeties out there that could help you, though. And a big name that was actually linked to you a little bit last week is Justin Simmons. He's been with the Denver Broncos, probably the biggest and best name on the free agent market right now as far as the safety position goes. He's a complete safety. He can play in the box. He can cover. I mean, he gets a ton of interceptions. He's a turnover machine back there. That's something you need. You've kind of lacked that from that safety spot. That ball hawk safety that you've been so used to in New Orleans over the year. Whether it was a Roman Harper or guys like that, you haven't had that the last couple of years. Justin Simmons could be that guy before the right price. I think that Simmons is going to be asking a little bit too much for what you're comfortable in paying. But hey, it's worth the conversation. Also, how about Jaron Kearse? This is a guy who started his career with the Minnesota Vikings, was solid, went to my Dallas Cowboys last year, and had a really good season. I mean, he wasn't a world beater, but he was a solid NFL starter. Again, you don't have to start any of these guys. Now, if you bring in Justin Simmons, he's obviously starting. He's one of the best safeties in the NFL. But a guy like Jaron Kearse, you don't have to start him. Look, if you feel good about Jonathan Abram, who was a former first-round pick, you feel good about Jordan Howden, who you got as a late-round selection, but did some really nice things for you as a rookie. You feel good about those guys? Great. Start them, but you still need a good bit of depth behind them. Jaron Kearse could be that guy. He's a veteran player. He's been in a lot of different systems. He's had success at multiple stops. Also, somebody you're familiar with, Keanu Neal, is on the free agent market. He's been with the Atlanta Falcons for a number of years. He was really good there. He was part of that Super Bowl team. Not Super Bowl winning, as Saints like to point out, but carried that team to the Super Bowl nonetheless. He's been with the Dallas Cowboys for the past couple of years. He's more of your box safety, right? I mean, this is a guy that, if you're worried about Tyrann Mathieu's age catching up with him, Keanu Neal is a guy you bring in. He's a box safety. He's almost a glorified linebacker. We talked about Major Burns earlier, playing the star position, the nickel. That's kind of where Keanu Neal is going to lie. But I'm fine with that because you need depth anywhere you can get it in this defensive secondary. And he's a guy that you could get for a relatively decent contract. He's kind of flown under the radar his entire year. Never been a star player, but has always been solid. Also a name that any football fan in Louisiana is familiar with is Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams is currently a free agent. Now, he's had injury issues. He's had trouble with the Seattle Seahawks. Look, we know Jamal Adams well, right? A multi-year All-American here at LSU. He got drafted 6th overall back in 2016 with the New York Jets. He had some good years there. They ultimately traded him to the Seahawks. He had a good first year, but it never really panned out for Jamal. He was great his first year, and then it was kind of lackluster. Then he was demanding more money. Had a falling out with the organization, whatever you want to call it. It didn't work out with the Seattle Seahawks. But he's a guy that's familiar with the Louisiana landscape. You know he's a good player. He could still play. And like Keanu Neal, he's that box safety, but he's good in coverage as well. I think his coverage skills have always been underrated. He struggled a little bit at it in the NFL, but again, bring him in. Have a conversation with him. You need depth there. Because I don't mind Jonathan Abram and Jordan Howden. If you want to roll with those guys, I'm perfectly fine with that. What do you have behind them? So maybe not a Justin Simmons, maybe not a Jamal Adams. Those are guys that are going to demand playing time. They're going to be in that starting lineup. But a Jaron Kearse and a Keanu Neal couldn't hurt you. It's probably better than the depth pieces that you have on your roster currently. A lot of players you can look at. We're going to talk to Nick about it at length at 9 o'clock. You can fill these spots in the draft, but if you can get them for the right price, there's still a lot of quality free agents out there left to fill some needs for the New Orleans Saints. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. Coming back, we're going to do some OTB Mailbag. That's coming up on the other side of this break here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
CentralPlumbing.org, 925-8552. CentralPlumbing.org. No, guys. Taylor is not allowed to go to HR, okay? I will beat the hell out of him. You know who's going to beat the hell out of you with good prices? CentralPlumbing.org. And excellent customer service, CentralPlumbing.org. So for any of your plumbing problems, your one-stop shop is Central Plumbing. 925-8552 is the number. Again, huge shout out to Central Plumbing for being such a major part of Dreams Come True and put on that entire tournament. Just everything they do for Dreams Come True year round. But look, it's not just repairs, Jake. It's remodels and upgrades as well.
It is, and that's at your home or your business. So if you own a business and you've got like 10 restrooms, don't worry. You'll see they have the full fleet ready to go on the homepage of the website. And certainly if it's one of the rooms in your home, they can come in and do that as well. Think about going tankless with a tankless water heater. Never run out of hot water again. You can find all that at centralplumbing.org.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $22,500 off the new 23 Ram 1500 SCA truck. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $22,500 off the new Ram 1500 truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Welcome back into Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester on this Tuesday morning. And Look, it's something we do this time every single Tuesday morning, so let's get right into it. It's time for a little OTB Mailbag.
I have this special delivery for off the bench. And look, it is marked most urgent.
We'll be writing to you.
The internet. What the is the internet?
All right, OTB Mailbag. Let's see. What's the greatest thing about T-Bob and Jake being out? Honestly, I don't love them being out. Like, it's fun or whatever, I guess, but I don't love them being out.
I don't either, because I think the four of us actually have really good chemistry. I don't even like when they're on remote.
I hate when they're on
remote. Me and you talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
I like four people in here.
Yeah. Kind of miss them a little bit.
Yeah, and as much as I enjoy doing the show, like, it's a lot, because I still have to do my video producer responsibility. So I did video till 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
I basically went home and prepped this show till late last night because LSU baseball and basketball weren't over until about 9 o'clock. So it's a lot of work. Like, I'm enjoying it, but yeah, I'm ready for him to be back. I wouldn't say there's anything great about him being out. I mean,
I know.
I get an opportunity to do this, but outside of that, I miss our guys.
Yeah. Let's see. OTB Mailbag. It's National Peanut Butter and Jelly Sandwich Day. Chunky or creamy peanut butter and favorite jelly to use to make a PB&J.
Okay, so I'm definitely a creamy peanut butter guy. I don't mind the crunchy, but I like the smoothness of the creamy peanut butter. As far as best to use on a peanut butter and jelly, it has to be grape jelly. I mean, I don't think there's any question about it. I do like a good strawberry jelly. Victoria, somebody she knows, brought us like strawberry preserves not too long ago.
Ooh.
Those were really good. I put that on a peanut butter and jelly. It was awesome, but I've always been a grape jelly. What do you guys say?
I don't like jelly, so I'm not going to answer the jelly part because I just don't like jelly. I don't like foods that are like I don't like Jell-O. I don't like jelly. I don't like foods that like jiggle when you move them.
You don't like a food that like doesn't have a definite shape.
Yeah, no, I don't like that. But I'm a crunchy peanut butter gal.
Well, that makes sense because you got to have a little something, right? Because you don't just want smooth peanut butter. If you're not going to go jelly, you want the crunchy peanut butter.
OTB Mailbag, are y'all just shunning poor Beck? Yeah, he's not going to get to answer any of these questions. No, I'm just kidding.
Jelly.
What's your favorite peanut butter?
I would probably say creamy, and I usually go strawberry.
Strawberry. I like strawberry. I've always been a grape jelly guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like jelly. Who are you rooting for now in the women's basketball tournament? NC State, UConn, Iowa, or the Death Star, a.k.a. South Carolina? I'm going for UConn.
You know, I was thinking that as well.
Yeah.
I love Gino Auriemma. He's a guy that I think does it the right way. He's had a lot of success. Seems like a really good guy. He's in it for all the right reasons. Always been a fan of Paige Beckers. I like the way she plays.
Yeah.
However, since the NC State men's are in it, it'd be kind of cool to see both of them win because nobody expected either of them to be there. So maybe NC State in the men's and women's brackets. I've never seen either of them win.
Yeah. Let's see. Mailbag. Favorite guilty pleasure snack? I love popcorn. Like, I can throw down on some popcorn.
Beck?
Probably Pringles, I think. I could eat a whole can of Pringles.
Wait, which kind of Pringles?
Usually pizza.
Ooh, those are good. I like the pizza and the cheese.
What?
Cheese, yeah.
Oh, look. God,
never.
I don't know if we have enough time in the show to talk about all of my guilty pleasure snacks. I am a candy
You
head.
are, yeah, you love candy.
I have snacks all the time. I love the, there's a pack you can get at the gas station now. It's like the shareable size bags. It's the Starburst, and I've seen them that they're unwrapped. But they have Starburst sours. They're not even that sour. It's just they are so full of flavor. They have a watermelon, a blue raspberry, which aren't even normal Starburst flavors. Recently, the peanut butter M&Ms. Like, if you like Reese's Pieces, go get these. I think these are actually way better. I love the Swiss rolls, the Little Debbie Swiss rolls. That's something that I've eaten. Like, I'm telling you, like I go on and on. Like, I love snacks. It's part of the reason I have to go to the gym so often because if not, I would be probably 400 pounds. But no, I'm a huge snack. I don't even worry about popcorn
and you
when I go to
also
the movie
love burgers. Like, so you love snacks and you love burgers.
Oh,
so
God,
yeah,
I love
the
burgers.
gym is like a must.
I love burgers.
Hashtag OTB Mailbag. Did Taylor strike out in the big game when he was little, causing his father deep shame? Then excusing himself to go out for cigarettes and never return is why he hates baseball?
You know, That explanation took a really dark turn.
It kind of did.
I don't hate baseball. I actually played baseball for 9 years growing up. I stopped when I got into high school because I
You
wanted to
kind of
focus.
hate baseball a little bit.
I wanted to focus on football. I don't hate baseball, and I mean, Nookie's probably
You
mad.
told me that you hate
Nookie's
baseball.
probably mad that we haven't talked about LSU baseball yet. Look, we're gonna get
they
there.
dropped the
It's
game
in the
to
9
Southern.
o'clock hour. They
left
played
runners
Southern.
on base and scoring position. Bullpen didn't get done. There we go.
As I was saying, they lost to Southern last night. We're going to get into it. It was a midweek game. Can't take a ton away from a game like that. But we're going to get into it in the 9 o'clock hour nonetheless. So no, I don't hate baseball. Next question.
Are you a cop or a robber?
A cop or a robber? Interesting question. Played that game a lot growing up as a kid. My dad's a cop, so I'll go with cop. I guess you could say it's in my blood. I rode around with him a few times. You know, not on anything dangerous, but when I was a little kid, I used to ride around with him from time to time, so I kind of saw how that works. So I guess I'd be a cop instead of a robber. Beck, what about you?
I would be a robber.
Okay, why?
I think it would be exciting and even if you may get caught and you have to go to jail, but I don't want to be a cop, man. That's a lot of pressure on that. I think when you're a robber, there's not that much pressure. I mean, it's hard obviously to be a robber, but I think it would be more exciting.
So let me get this straight. You think there's a lot of pressure on you as a cop. You don't want that kind of pressure, so you're like, I'd just rather go to jail.
I'll just be a criminal instead.
Yeah.
Those people don't live in constant anxiety.
All right, next question.
Okay. I don't think no more OTB mailbag.
I got one for you guys.
Okay.
It's
I'm going to look, though.
It's something that we've talked about quite a bit because of T-Bob's obsession with Puxatawny Phil.
Oh,
OTB mailbag. Do you guys prefer, I'll go last. Do you guys prefer cold weather or hot weather?
Hot. Give me hot weather all day.
Yeah, hot.
Wow, we are unanimously hot weather. I'm also going hot weather. I don't particularly mind the cold. The issue I have, you get the sniffles, you get sick all the time.
I hate the cold. I hate feeling cold.
Here in Louisiana, it doesn't stay cold. It'll be cold for about 3 days, and it'll go back to warm. It gets with your sinuses. It gets you sick. Give me hot all day long. I can always go inside into the AC, pour some cold water on me if I'm cutting the grass or whatever. I feel like it's so much easier in Louisiana to cool down instead of heat up. I'm going hot weather all day long. Is that it for OTB Mailbag?
One more. Cameron Scholl, who should we put as leadoff batter? Look, I've been saying and thinking that Michael Braswell would be good in that spot, but I also kind of like him like in that middle of the lineup. So, I don't know.
I would actually go Michael Braswell as well. I mean, the guy hit 500 over the weekend. He has a higher batting average in the SEC than he did out of conference. He's a guy that's been in the SEC for multiple years. Yeah, and even when he's not getting hits, he finds a way to get on base. He's a good base runner when he gets on the base paths. He's one of your faster players out there. I think it should be Michael Braswell as well. All right, look, that's going to do it for OTB Mailbag. We're going to take a quick timeout.
Stretch real fast. Hold on.
Coming up on the other side of this break, we're going to be joined by Zach Nagy of LSU Country. He's going to give us a boots-on-the-ground practice report as he is just now leaving LSU spring practice. That'll be coming up on the other side of this break. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
K to Z window coverings, KTOZblinds.com. K to Z Blinds. Go there today for all your window coverage. Get Brandon Barton out to your home. Take advantage of the decades of experience. And let him change your home drastically, okay, both aesthetically and functionally from a utility standpoint. If you have like a outdoor living space that you need covered, if you have a baby room, a master bedroom, maybe a theater room, man cave, like whatever the case may be, let Brandon go into your home, figure out exactly how your home interacts with sunlight throughout the day, and then customize a plan for you. KTOZblinds.com.
Go to the website to see what they can do for you and your home. But honestly, just get the consultation set up. 225-228-0855. Because like T-Bob just told you, they're going to come into your home and they're going to know your space like in 5 minutes. And they're going to tell you exactly what you need for your home to have the best function there. Go to the website to check it out again, K2ZBlinds.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Welcome back into a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for T-Bob, Hebert, and Jacob Hester. The LSU football team back on the practice field today, and we're going to get a boots-on-the-ground report right now from Zach Nagy of LSU Country and Sports Illustrated. Zach, what's going on?
Good morning, man. How we doing?
We are doing good. Okay, so you were just out there this morning, right? Give me your biggest takeaways from today's practice. What kind of stood out to you?
Yes, there's not much I can say from today's practice just because we got to wait until practice officially ends at 9:40. Yeah. But look, man, this spring football has been rolling right now, and the main takeaway for a lot of us in the media right now is what's going to happen with this, QB2 battle. Is it going to be Ricky Collins? Is it going to be AJ Swan? So they've kind of been flip-flopping between QB2 and QB3 over the last couple of weeks, and it's definitely one that gained a lot of interest from a lot of people, at practices. So Ricky Collins, obviously the redshirt freshman who has a lot of the know from the playbook, a great relationship with Joe Sloan. And then you got Vanderbilt transfer AJ Swan, who's coming into the mix as well in a big way. So that's a big standout from the last couple of weeks. And certainly the wide receiver room, you have an embarrassment of riches right there. So, whoever's going to fill up that third spot alongside Chris Hilton and Kyron Lacey is going to be really what steals the show over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I know you guys haven't got to see a ton of team, if you will, but you've been out there pretty much every day of practice. Who do you kind of think has the edge right now between Swan and Collins?
It's such an interesting dynamic between the two because they're such polar opposite signal callers. You have AJ Swan, who's a true pocket passer, and he's really assertive out there right now. And then you have Ricky Collins, who's more of a Jaden Daniels type of guy, just in the way that he's a super dynamic quarterback. He's raw right now. He's got a lot of things that he has to work on. For me, I'd probably just say Ricky Collins at the exact moment, just because he has familiarity with the program. But again, you have 2 more weeks of spring ball. You'll go into summer workouts, and then you have fall camp. So that QB2 battle is going to be one to keep eyes on over the next couple of months for sure.
Switching from QB2 to QB1. Look, Garrett Nussmeier is a guy who has been in this program for quite some time, but this is his first spring entering practice knowing that he's going to be the guy, that he is the starting quarterback. What have you kind of seen from Nuss out there on the practice field?
Garrett Nussmeier looks absolutely assertive. He looks calm, cool, and collected at all times. He's been a leader. He's been extremely vocal throughout practices. And we had the opportunity to talk to him last week, maybe it was 2 weeks ago, and everything that he said just sounds so, cut and dry. He's finally got his time. He doesn't have as much to worry about. There's familiarity, comfortability within the program. I'm really high on Garrett Nussmeier, and I think a lot of people are too. So it's going to be an exciting, again, I've said the words next couple of months because you're really not going to understand the true feel of this program until fall camp in August. But I'm really high on Garrett Nussmeier because he just has such an embarrassment of riches to work with on the outside at wide receiver. There's the entire offensive line coming back. I truly feel comfortable with the situation Nussmeier's coming into, and you can tell that he's very, very confident in what he's doing right now in Baton Rouge.
Zach, you kind of brought me right into my next question. You were talking about the embarrassment of riches he has out there on the outside. Let's kind of get into that receiver rotation. I mean, all the talk has been Kyron Lacy and Chris Hilton. I mean, those are the two veteran guys in the room. We know about them, but outside of those two guys, who's a few players that have kind of stood out to you?
Yeah, right now, honestly, you have Kyron Lacy and Chris Hilton who have asserted themselves as true starters for this program. And then you go look at somebody who could fill in that third starting wide receiver slot. And it's a various amount of guys. You really have Kyle Parker, the redshirt freshman, who's really, really had a phenomenal offseason. I've been very impressed with what Kyle Parker's brought to the table, as well as Aaron Anderson, the Alabama transfer who had one season in Baton Rouge just now, and as well as Liberty transfer, C.J. Daniels, Mississippi State transfer, Xavion Thomas. You really have 5, 6, 7 guys who could come in and start for this program right now. So wide receivers coach Cortez Hankton has a ton of guys who can step in and make an impact. Obviously, all eyes are going to be on Kyron Lacy and Chris Hilton right now, just because the two are veterans, like you said, and just a pair of guys who have really, really made noise. But look, man, there's so many guys that can step in and make an impact. I'm excited to see what C.J. Daniels can do. He was a 1,000-yard receiver last year at Liberty. Now he's coming to Baton Rouge, and that's an opportunity to really showcase his skill set in the SEC setting. So I'm really intrigued with what he can provide for this program. But if you were asking me who I have true eyes on right now, it's C.J. Daniels and Kyle Parker to see who's going to take over that third wide receiver starting slot.
Yeah, and something else that's going to help Garrett Nussmeier, it's that really good offensive line up front. I mean, you returned 4 out of 5 starters from a year ago, but the guy that everyone's kind of had their spotlight on in spring practice, for the obvious reason, is DJ Chester, because he's kind of the new piece out there. What have you seen from him at center?
I love what DJ Chester brings to this program. He's such an intelligent player, and honestly, you look at the center position, and that's the quarterback of the offensive line. He has to be assertive. He has to be willing to voice what he can. And being a youngster in the program, he plays like a savvy vet. This is a guy who fits into the rotation extremely well, alongside guys like Emory Jones, Will Campbell, Garrett Dellinger, Miles Frazier. He really fits in, and there hasn't been much hiccup at that position group. And Brad Davis is just a complete mastermind with the offensive line. So he believes in DJ Chester. The entire offensive line believes in DJ Chester, and he believes in himself. We had the opportunity to talk to him last week, talk about a calm, cool, collected guy. I truly believe that DJ Chester is going to step into the mix and be a really impressive center for this program next fall.
Zach Nagy with LSU Country and Sports Illustrated joining us right now. Zach, want to switch from offense to defense right now if we can. LSU brings in Blake Baker, the new defensive coordinator. What has been kind of the vibes on that side of the ball under Blake Baker?
It's the whole new regime. It's really impressive seeing what Blake Baker can do. He's out there with cleats on. He's putting his boots on the ground. He's doing what he can. He's cutting. He's diving. He's a really vocal, eccentric guy when it comes to a defensive coordinator. He's young in the game, and he shows it just in the way that he coaches. He's truly, I guess you could say, just a new era coach. And I've been really impressed with what he's providing this defense. He's super intense, and you can tell that he's working alongside Harold Perkins and that linebacker group very, very closely, because that's going to be what ultimately separates this program this season. So, Harold Perkins back at the inside linebacker position. And like I was saying, Blake Baker is working alongside him very, very closely. I've been nothing short of impressed with what Blake Baker's done. And I'm really excited to see what happens with him, going into next fall.
As far as the defense goes, the DB rotation, it was a room that struggled mightily last year. You got some guys returning. You got some transfers coming in. Any standouts in that room or players you would like to see step up?
look at the cornerback rotation. You have Ashton Stamps and Javian Toviano handling first-team cornerback duties. And those are two guys who got extreme snaps as true freshmen last season. So now you get, a full offseason under your belt, taking first-team snaps. I'm really impressed with what those two have provided this defense so far. Obviously, it's a small sample size with spring right now, and we've gotten around 5 to 6 media availabilities. But I've been extremely impressed with what those two guys have provided this program. And then switching gears to the safety position, true freshman Deshaun McBride is somebody that I think everybody needs to keep tabs on right now. This is a player that a lot of people within the program are high on, and he's really shined. He's been taking second-team snaps right now at safety, but I wouldn't be surprised if this guy doesn't step on. I'd be really shocked, let's just say this, if he doesn't take impactful snaps this fall in Death Valley. I've been extremely impressed with Deshaun McBride, and that's with his physicality, his length. He has all of the intangibles, and he's an extremely smart football player. So if I'm looking at somebody in the defensive backfield that I really want to see make an impact this season, it's going to be Deshaun McBride. And everybody's seen the talk of the town with Sage Ryan. He's been a player that shined through spring ball. Last Saturday or the Saturday before that, he had 3 interceptions in one practice. So I'm looking at Sage Ryan to take that next step this season, and then a player that I really want to see get some significant playing time is going to be Deshaun McBride, the true freshman safety.
We're talking about the DB room right now, and something that Brian Kelly mentioned in his latest media availability that kind of took people, that may not be out of practice, kind of intrigued him a little bit, was Major Burns playing at that star position, which is a new role in Blake Baker's defense. What can you tell me about what you've seen from him?
The star position is definitely a new thing going on with Blake Baker's defense, and Major Burns has a sense of comfortability in that spot. He can drop down into the box and be extremely impactful around the linebacker position. He can drop back in the defensive backfield and be impactful there. I think this is where Major Burns is going to get his bread and butter. I've been extremely impressed with what he's been doing throughout spring camp right now, and talking with some guys around the program, I truly think that Major Burns could take that next step this offseason. Obviously, he's a savvy veteran, and I've said that about a couple of guys, but I truly believe that Major Burns is going to be a guy that fits in he fits like a glove into Blake Baker's system. And I truly think that at the star position, this is where we can see him kind of take that next step as a player. I know a lot of people have critiqued Major Burns over the last couple of years, but I really think the star spot could be exactly what we've been waiting for Major. And I really think that this could be where he, like I said a couple seconds ago, takes that next step.
All right, just 2 more for you, Zach. And these are positions that you lack depth at during spring practice. First one I want to talk about is the defensive tackle spot. You've seen Kimo Macaniola move over. I mean, Jacoby and Guillory's kind of the anchor in that group, right? I mean, he's the only guy that has a ton of experience, at least here at LSU, playing that spot. What have you seen from the defensive tackle rotation?
Jalen Lee and Jacoby and Guillory have been taking first-team reps right now. As for the second and third-team reps, it's really hard to get a true gauge on that spot just because of the lack of depth in that position group. Defensive tackle is one that they're going to have to hit the transfer portal with force this spring. But what I've seen from Jalen Lee and Jacoby and Guillory, I have been extremely impressed. Bo Davis is really a hands-on coach. He's insane. It's the best way to put it, man. He is truly a one-of-a-kind coach, and we've seen him just get in guys' faces, be extremely vocal, physical. He's a fantastic coach, and I think he's going to get the most out of his players. But it's hard for him to get the most out of his players right now because there's such a lack of depth. You don't want to fatigue your guys so early in the game. But sticking to the question that you asked, man, what I've seen from this position group is just guys trying to get into a groove. Jacoby and Guillory, like you said, I couldn't have said it better. He's the anchor of that defensive tackle group, and I really want to see what he can do moving forward. Along the defensive line, true freshman Gabriel Relaford is a guy that within this program, a lot of people think that he's going to be impactful, whether it's in year 1 or year 2. He's going to be a guy who touches the field as a youngster. I'm going to be really excited to see what he develops into. But Jacoby and Guillory and Jalen Lee are your 2 guys right now, and moving forward, the transfer portal is going to be their best friend.
And lastly, I want to shift back over to the offensive side. 2 guys that have gotten a ton of reps in spring practice because of the lack of depth is Josh Williams, a savvy vet, and then Caleb Jackson, who was not here last year in spring practice. So this is actually his first full spring with the Tigers, and he's kind of the guy everybody's keeping their eye on. What have you seen from Caleb Jackson?
It's a fun dynamic between the 2 just because it's your only 2 scholarship backs on the roster right now. What I've seen from Caleb Jackson is a guy who's extremely calm. He's extremely comfortable again. And I know I've used those words quite a few times, familiarity, comfortability. And that's because you have a lot of returning guys on the offense right now. And I think Caleb Jackson is going to come into his own this season again. Last season, it was sporadic when he got on the field. It wasn't necessarily, I guess the proper word would be reps over and over and over again. He was kind of thrown into the fire a couple of times. So now he's back getting his first full spring under his belt. I've seen a lot of impressive things from him, and that comes from physicality. His body's built up. He's put on even more size. And this is a guy whose lower body is extremely impressive. So I've been really impressed with what Caleb Jackson brings to this program. And him and Josh Williams, it's an interesting dynamic because you have the youngster, and then again, you have a veteran in the locker room. So I've been extremely impressed with what Caleb Jackson's done. Him and Josh Williams have split first-team reps over these first few weeks of practice. And I'm really excited to see what he can provide this program moving forward.
All right, that's Zach Nagy with a boots-on-the-ground spring practice report. Zach, thank you so much for hopping on.
I really appreciate it. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. Once again, Zach Nagy there, LSU Country, part of the Sports Illustrated Network. Look, we're going to take a quick timeout. Coming back, we're going to wrap up hour number 2 of Off the Bench here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
New, used, rentals, it's all there. Cheaper per day rental price from traditional rental companies. What if you get in an accident, though? You need a service center, body shop. You want to go into All-Star. They give you a free professional estimate. Insurance claims are welcome, of course. You mention OTB when you get $100 towards that deductible. So go take advantage of today. All-Star Toyota Baton Rouge, All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com.
Go check out everything that they've got available, no matter what you're looking for. If you're looking for the minivan, if you're looking for full-size, mid-size SUV, if you're looking for a truck, multiple options and everything that we talk about, sedans, hybrids, you name it, they've got it. And they've got it when you're buying new, when you're leasing, and when you are renting. So no matter what you're doing, everything's available. You're not going to find that anywhere else. Certainly in the leasing and the rental department. So make that call today. Go to the website today as well. All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com. All-Star Toyota of BatonRouge.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, Our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Welcome back into Off the Bench, the final segment of hour number 2 on a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, holding things down for today as well as tomorrow, as Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert are both out on vacation, but our guy T-Bob will be back on Thursday. Look, we've hit a ton of sports topics. I mean, we've hit LSU women's basketball. We've done some Saints, some LSU, some Pelicans, you name it, we've done it. We're going to have LSU Baseball here in hour number 3, but closing out hour number 2, we have a few minutes here. I want to talk about something more somber and serious. This is a name that those of you who follow NFL football, you are familiar with. So former NFL cornerback Vontae Davis was found dead yesterday, little bit after noon at his residence out there in South Florida at just 35 years old. They have not released the cause of death. Police do believe that no foul play was involved. The investigation remains active. Look, this was a guy that had a lot of success in the NFL. Played 3 seasons at the University of Illinois. He was actually a first-round draft pick by the Miami Dolphins back in 2009. Really solid NFL career. Spent most of his time with the Indianapolis Colts. He got traded to the Colts in 2012. Spent about 6 seasons there, 9 seasons total in the NFL. You all may remember this. If you want to kind of have a more lighthearted story about Vontae Davis. He made headlines back in 2018. He was the one that retired at halftime while he was playing for the Buffalo Bills. So it was the first game of the year. He goes out there and, he said that it was somewhere in the first quarter he decided that his body had had enough, his mind had had enough, and he was done playing. He went up to a teammate and an assistant coach, and he's like, "Hey, I'm done." And they were like, "What do you mean you're done? Like, you're done for the game?" And he's like, "No, I'm done forever." And he went into the locker room, told his teammates, took off his pads, and he retired at halftime. He was done so in the most unique way possible. I do remember that it was a game against the Los Angeles Chargers, but unfortunate news for a guy that was a really good NFL player for a number of years. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone involved in this as well as his family. Look, we do have a couple of minutes before we hit break, and I talked about it a little bit earlier. The story that's kind of taken the media by storm is this betting scandal going on with Los Angeles Dodgers player Shohei Ohtani, the great two-way star. I mean, we know him. He's the best player in baseball. But because of that, this other story is kind of fallen by the wayside, if you will. So a two-way center for the Toronto Raptors, Jontay Porter. That name sounds familiar. He is the younger brother of Michael Porter Jr. So he's actually had a decent season so far. He's had a lot of injuries in his career, but this season he's kind of picked his way back up, got back into the rotation. So he is in trouble for illegal sports gambling, or he's accused of illegal sports gambling, including his prop bets. Now, this is very serious because it's prop bets on his own performance. 2 different games in the past month or so, large amounts of bets were placed on Jontay Porter's under, whether it was points, rebounds, assists, you name it, his under. Thousands of dollars of bets were placed on Jontay Porter's under. Jontay Porter has become a solid NBA player, but not many people are going to their favorite online sports book and placing Jontay Porter prop bets. And in both of those games where the thousands of dollars were placed on Jontay Porter's under, he left those games in under 10 minutes. So the first game he left in about 10 minutes. He said he had an eye injury. He could not return. So he played, a little bit of the first quarter and then sat out. So he had about 10 minutes of game action. The next game, played just 4 minutes. He said he had flu-like symptoms. He wasn't feeling well. So he pulled himself out of both of those games. And, of course, the unders hit. So, sportsbooks got word of this. there is an official investigation. And word is right now that if Jonte Porter is found guilty of this, this is textbook point shaving, because if he's involved in this, then he was involved in taking his own under. And there's a real chance that Jonte Porter could be banned from the NBA for the remainder of his life. Again, this is an ongoing investigation. There's not a ton more to go off of than that right now, but it is a developing story that Jonte Porter, in not necessarily trouble, but there's some serious allegations against him. We'll know more as the investigation goes along, but just something to keep an eye on as we hear athletes get more and more involved in these sports betting scandals. All right, that's going to do it for hour number 2 of OTB. We've hit a lot of topics here in the first 2 hours. We opened the show talking LSU women's basketball, recapping their Elite 8 loss to Caitlin Clark in the Iowa Hawkeyes. Then we talked some LSU football, some New Orleans Saints, some New Orleans Pelicans. In hour number 3, straight up 9 o'clock, we're going to be joined, as we are every single Tuesday, by Nick Underhill of NewOrleans.football. He's going to give us a report, what they're looking to do in the draft, some off-season topics, the typical from Nick. He is a wealth of knowledge. Also, we're going to hit some LSU baseball, and we're going to be joined by someone from the Baton Rouge Zydeco. Wanted to switch things up, have a little bit of a lighthearted segment here on a Tuesday morning. So that's all coming up. Again, 9 o'clock, it is Nick Underhill of NewOrleans.football. 9:15, it's LSU baseball. And then 9:30, we're going to talk Zydeco, and then we're going to wrap it up as we do every single day with a little bit of Ask the Bench. Taylor Sharp sitting in for T-Bob Hebert, for Alondra Villarreal and Jacob Beck. That'll do it for hour number 2 of OTB. Don't go anywhere. We got another hour coming up on 104.5 ESPN.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Rejuve Medical. Restore Me. Just, it's, I mean, after you see the video, you're going to see why I've named him T Cucumber. Rejuve Me Medical. Restore Me, refuel me, rejuve me. Okay, you got mood, memory problems, facial aging, andropause, menopause, a lack of energy, rolling out of bed, or rolling in. These are all the untreated effects of aging, okay? And let Rejuve Me customize a plan for you by getting that free consultation, drawing your labs, and putting together a plan. Like maybe it's HRT, maybe it's a semaglutide, maybe it's not, maybe it's B vitamin shots. There's a ton of different options, and they are now in Baton Rouge, Metairie, Slidell, and Shreveport. RejuveMeMedical.com.
Yeah, go to that website to get your consultation set up. Also coming to Monroe as well. I mean, really throughout the state of Louisiana. Find that location that is nearest.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
Let we go! All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Hey, they said I gotta come off the bench.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. Yo, yo, yo.
Yo, yo, yo is right. Welcome into hour number 3 of a Tuesday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for a vacationing T-Bob Hebert and Jacob Hester. Look, recapping hours 1 and 2. We open with LSU women's basketball. Then we talked some LSU football and Saints. Got into a little bit of Pelicans in hour number 2. But right now I want to shift back to the New Orleans Saints and a guy who joins us every single Tuesday at 9 a.m. It is Nick Underhill of NewOrleans.football. Nick, how are you today?
Hey, doing great. How you doing?
Doing good. Nice to talk to you. I'm usually on the other side of the glass here. You know, a show that has 2 co-hosts, you would think that they would plan their vacation days where both of them aren't out at the same time. But what are you going to do?
I mean, that's T-Bob for you, man. I'm going to blame him. I'm going to assume Jake did the paperwork the right way, and then T-Bob just kind of did his own thing. But,
yeah, he did. Well, actually, Thursday night, keep in mind, he's supposed to leave for Mexico last Friday morning. Thursday night, he texted us. He goes, hey, guys, turns out that I didn't check until today. My passport's expired. So he actually wound up leaving for vacation a day later than he was supposed to be in typical T-Bob fashion.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right, Nick, let's dive right into it. The NFL draft is coming up, rapidly approaching. Obviously, everyone's focused on the offensive line. Everyone thinks that it's pretty much a given that they go offensive line in round 1. But outside of offensive line, where would you like to see the Saints go in this draft?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think if they had it their way, and I think if I was running the team and they had good offensive tackles and you weren't kind of backed into a corner there, I mean, I think there's 2 places where you'd like it to go. I mean, one of them, obviously, I think it's still the pass rush. I think they can use more people there, and that would definitely be, something that could help. But I think all things being equal, like the guy that I really, really like is Brock Bowers. And you just look at, the stuff that Kyle Shanahan was able to do in San Francisco. And I think a major key to that was having a versatile fullback and a versatile tight end. And that just kind of opens up all the things you can do in disguise. And you can't really cheat on personnel at that point. If your fullback can split out wide, you can play inline tight end, you can play fullback. If your tight end can block and catch passes and go outside, it just kind of opens up what you can do formationally with your personnel. And that element of disguise, I think, allows them, you go through, you start looking at their plays, like you see the same concept get run out of 6, 7, 8 different looks, and then you throw the motions on top of it, and it becomes extremely complex for the defense. But for the guys executing it, it's really simple. And there's just kind of a handful of core philosophies with a lot of window dressing on it. And I think if you have those type of players, it kind of just opens things up a little bit. And they got the fullback from the Chargers, who can do a lot of stuff in pass catching and a lot of different things. And I think he's going to be a real competition to Adam Prentice. And I think, honestly, looking at kind of just his traits, and he doesn't have a ton of NFL experience, but looking at his traits and just kind of how he might fit into this, I think he might have the upper hand on that going into camp. I mean, there's really no backlog of experience with anyone. It's kind of just clean slate going forward. And their running backs coach came from there too. So I kind of feel like he was handpicked for this a little bit. And if they could get that type of tight end to kind of add into the mix with Foster Moreau and Juwan Johnson, I think it just kind of opens everything up. So it's unfortunate that they're in this spot. And I think that they kind of had cleared the deck a little bit. They bring in Chase Young, it kind of addresses the pass rush. And then the Ramczyk injury just kind of derailed everything. So now I think they're kind of backed into that corner a little bit. But I would be absolutely shocked if they haven't kind of had, some of those conversations with guys where they're going to sign a veteran maybe after the draft. They did it with Tyrann Mathieu, Jarvis Landry, Jameis Winston. And the reason for doing that is then if you sign them after the draft, it doesn't count against the comp pick formula. So they can play a ton and it doesn't offset, one of the guys that you lost in free agency. So you don't end up losing a pick for adding talent. So by waiting, you can do that. And I think someone like Mekhi Becton would make a lot of sense. He was a former first round pick, had some injuries and, issues with his weight, I think. But if he's still available, we haven't heard anything on him. I wouldn't be surprised if they've talked to him. I wouldn't be surprised if Avonte Maddox, who visited the Saints very early on, and then there's been not a peep about him since. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes after the draft too. So I think there's still some stuff we haven't maybe seen that they're working on. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely backed into a corner a little bit at tackle.
Well, you were talking about Brock Bowers. If that's a guy that fell to you at 14. Look, if they absolutely fall in love with someone and they don't think they're going to be there at 14, could you see Mickey Loomis trading up?
Oh, that's always definitely a possibility. And I think that's one of the things that you kind of, I like that they like people so much that they're willing to go after them. Like, you want to be that convicted in your scouting process and all that. The problem is that it hasn't always necessarily worked great, especially recently. So, it just kind of feels like they're at a place where I almost want them to be just a little bit more, just, they don't have to trade back. Just don't trade up. Like, don't give up a future first round pick to go up unless it's for a quarterback. Like, that's the only way that I would kind of be on board with it. But it just feels like they're at a place where they're trying to reset and kind of calm down this whole process a little bit. Like, everything has just been a little bit too aggressive. I understand why they kept their foot on the gas. I was kind of saying they should do it because it felt like they had the roster to kind of go and still make the playoffs. And, in all honesty, they were a game away last year. You can pick 25 different moments that if this had happened, they would have won that game. They would have gone to the playoffs. But they aren't a contender right now. They aren't a Super Bowl contender right now. So I would like it for them to just kind of just back off the gas a little bit and just kind of just be measured in the approach and just save those picks. Like, have your first round pick next year. Don't go into a draft next year where, and they're trying to I don't know if rebuild's the right word, but they're rebuilding a little bit, and that's tough to do when it's first round pick, second round pick, nothing until the fifth. Like, keep those assets in there, hang on to them, just go into it with what you have, work with what you got, reset the cap, get into a place where you then can go, all in again. And I think I think this year's kind of backed off a little bit. I think next year has to be backed off a little bit. And then the year after that, I think you're in a position to kind of go for it. And, it's going to be interesting to see where they're at by that point. It might be a full on reset by them, but I think it's kind of needed at this point just to have that sober thought in the room of, all right, like, this was a 9-win team, probably not going to win the Super Bowl. Probably doesn't make a lot of sense to trade up for, a left tackle and then he doesn't play. Like, those are the moves that have kind of set them back a little bit. And I think that they just can't risk that. And I don't think it's even at a place where you can justify the aggression.
Nick, we were talking about Brock Bowers just a second ago, and, we're talking about now trading up the pick and everything. So whether it's him in the first round or, a lot of tight ends like a Jaheim Bell has been mocked to him from a lot of different experts as far as the later rounds. If they go tight end, you brought up a good point earlier about how they like to use their fullbacks. Kyle Juszczyk with the San Francisco 49ers, the way they use him, it's unlike anything else in the league. If they do draft a tight end in this draft, could you see possibly Taysom Hill moving into a role like that?
Yeah, it's something that I think could make a decent amount of sense. And it's something that I know that they've talked about and they've explored just kind of, how does he fit into this? I don't think he fits into it perfectly. Like, I don't think he's someone that you want, blocking, leading the charge out of the backfield, 20 times a game or anything like that, or whatever it is. But he's someone that I think can do more, and you can get more creative with all that stuff for sure. And he definitely has that blocking ability. And, for it to open up a little bit more, like, all you have to do is make that stuff just be a little bit believable. And it's, kind of the idea behind him throwing the ball. Like, I know people get frustrated with that all the time. Like, why are you bringing him out there to throw a pass? You got Drew Brees out there. But, like, you have to do it every now and then to kind of keep that honesty within the defense. And once those safeties start cheating up too much, like, you have to show them that you're willing to throw the ball and you're willing to throw it deep. And, whether the play works or not, it doesn't really matter. It's about the next 15 times you line up in that look and now that thought's in their head and you don't have this tendency or just an unwillingness to take advantage of it. So I think those same principles could kind of apply to the fullback stuff. Like, if you bring him out there and you have him as the lead blocker, 2-3 times a game, every single time he comes out, like, now you have to think, okay, there's a possibility this might happen, and it changes how you defend it, and you kind of, maybe line them up there and then formation out. So now you have a mismatch that you can exploit in the passing game or something. So I think that's just, it just has to tell a little bit of a story, and the story just can't be a complete fable. Like, there has to be some element of, like, it doesn't have to be a documentary, but it has to be based on a true story. And if you just can do that and tell it to the defense, like, it does open it up. So I think we're going to see a little bit more creativity with him for sure. I mean, I think the handful of core principles that they have with them, like if I'm Clint Kubiak, like I'm pulling power and, a lot of the stuff they did and dropping it into what I do and finding a way to make it look a little bit more just creative. But I think those core principles stay. But if you just add some of that little bit of dressing on there, I think it makes everything you're doing with them a little bit more effective. So I definitely think that we see some of that next year.
Well, Nick, sticking with the offensive side of the ball as far as in the draft, look, you have Chris Olave, you have Rashid Shaheed, so you got your 1 and 2. You have 2 solid receivers. Outside of them, there's a lot of question marks. I mean, you got guys on the roster, but you haven't seen a ton from them yet. Are there any wide receiver targets you'd look at in the draft?
Yeah, depending on the value. Like, I think Keon Coleman could make a lot of sense for a Keon Coleman type. I don't know if I'd do it at 14, but I think if there's value there at a certain point, I think that's something that could make a lot of sense. Just bigger body guy can go up and get it. I mean, I know the 4.6 is a little bit off-putting to people, but you look at his three cone, like there's a lot of agility there. I would remind people that Mike Thomas ran, I think, a 4.57, and that worked out pretty well for a lot of years. So, I think he's the body type and the type of player that just kind of fits. Like, they don't have that big body guy, the contested catch guy, and I think he blends in with them kind of really well. Look, if Brian Thomas was there, like, I like Brian Thomas a lot, like in the second round. If that's a possibility, that's something that I would be really excited about if I was running the team, just bringing him in. I think there's a lot of talent there. And, I think he's a little bit, there's some similarities, but I think he does some stuff a little bit more physical than the guys they have. So I think it could work with that too. But yeah, there's, ideally though, it's a bigger body physical catch type guy, because you have all the speed and agility with the other two that, I don't think that's something that you need to go after. And I think A.T. Perry has a chance to make some of those contested catches too, but like just that easy type of target, like, and it doesn't have to be a receiver. Like, it could be like, if the conversation's Brock Bowers or a wide receiver, another tight end and the wide receiver, like it could be the tight end and you can line them up different ways and get those same looks. So it doesn't have to be a receiver, but I think there's an absolute need for that. And then the other quality that I'd be looking at is yards after catch. Like, almost like it was detrimental last year, and it has been since they changed the offense, going into 17. Like, so this isn't a Derek Carr problem. Like, it's the Saints offense problem. And, I think some of their players play into it too. It's just the yards after catch. Like, almost all their yards on 17 have really had to come through the air. And it's not how the game is played anymore. Like, there's so much yards after catch stuff. Like, then that's going to help. I think the offense is going to help with that. It's going to get them open in space. I think Olave kind of has to change up a little bit, which is, he doesn't fight for yards a lot. I think if you get him maybe trying to break a tackle, that helps a little bit. And, I think just drafting someone that has that ability, it's a mindset. Like, it's just kind of something that you have, or I kind of think you don't. And, I think they need to get that element in their offense really, really, I think it's imperative almost that they find someone and find different ways to open that up for their quarterback.
So are they going to look for like a bigger bodied guy in the draft? Because that's kind of what we've been talking about, right? Whether it's a Keon Coleman, you mentioned Brian Thomas, he's a bigger guy because you got Olave, and I mean, he's not a huge body, and then Shaheed's kind of your speedster. They're looking for like that bigger bodied type guy, I would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's like kind of like if you have like Stephon Diggs, you need someone that can play off him. You just need that other element, because sometimes everyone's going to be covered, and you got to be able to throw the ball somewhere. And bigger body guy can, he can go up and get it. He can use his catch radius to be open, kind of when he's not, kind of those throws where it's like, oh, all right, put it on the outside shoulder while the guy's covering the backside shoulder. Like, Olave and Shaheed just aren't the type of guys that are going to do that consistently. Like, so it's just, you need someone that can make those hard plays. And I think it's something that they want for sure in their offense. I think it's a high priority. Going back to what we were saying in the first question, like, if they weren't backed into this corner with the tackle, like, I think it's almost priority one at this point, because like you can check that box at pass rusher with Chase Young. Like, there's at least an if and a maybe there, and that physical, like it's as barren as offensive tackle, but offensive tackle is imperative. Like you can't not have someone there. So all things being equal, like it is the big body pass catcher. And, for me, kind of looking at the names that are there, like I go to Bowers, but like it doesn't have to be that. Like you just have to get somebody that can be it, and it can be a tight end or a wide receiver, but they have to have it. And I think they know that, and I think it's a top priority. I think it's a borderline must for them. It's just the problem is the lack of assets. Like you can't address all of them. I think like you aren't leaving the draft with 2 starting tackles, a starting pass rusher, and this type of receiver when you only got 2 picks in the first 4 rounds. So there might be something that they need to do to acquire more picks. Like it's just there's a lot of holes that they got to figure out how to fill, and it is something that I think they definitely need to do though.
Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football joining us right now. Nick, the news that kind of everyone was discussing yesterday, the Saints signed Northern Ireland goalkeeper Charlie Smith to come on the roster as a kicker to compete with Blake Groovy for that spot. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's worth a shot. Like you see the videos, like there's a 63-yarder with a crosswind. Like he hit it. I think at the combine he was like under 75% or something like that. Like he had a tryout and he's under 75%. So I think there's definitely some work that he needs to do. But he's new to the craft. Darren Rizzi is a great coach, special teams coach. I mean, he was the guy that pioneered the new kickoff role. Like he's just held in that esteem, among his colleagues and around the league. Like he wasn't like put into that position. He was kind of appointed it by his peers. So they kind of look at him as that guy. And then like you saw, just with the punter last year, like he got coached up into a place where when he first showed up, it looked like he had no chance. And then he ends up winning the job. And, I don't necessarily love how they handled punts last year, but it worked. Like the net on it was really good. So, if they think they can work with this guy and there's crazy upside, like I think it's worth finding out. And then, if it doesn't hit, who cares? Like he signed a 3-year contract, not a single dollar guaranteed. He comes in, tries out, and he wins the job or he doesn't. And, that's fine. But I like it. I like that they're always aggressive at those spots. Like, Rizzi kind of runs that program like really competitively on that side of the ball. Like there's nobody's sacred. He's always bringing in guys. When he had Deontay Hardy, like he found Rashid Shaheed in the scouting process. And, at that point, Hardy's like a Pro Bowler, All-Pro. And, they were already looking a year ahead and trying to find a way to add competition and potentially replace him. So I think if this guy comes in and does great, like Groupies, I don't think he's guaranteed anything by any stretch of the imagination. I just hope they find another punter to bring in and have, a competition there and make sure that what they were doing last year was the best way to do it. So, I like it. There's no risk. And, a guy that can hit a 63-yarder that's been kicking for like a couple of years, like I think that's kind of intriguing.
Nick, just one more question for you before I get you out of here. So, Jake Haener, he's a guy that they drafted. It's been a 4th-round pick a year ago. Then you bring in Nathan Peterman. Those two are kind of battling out for that backup QB role. Is there a chance that the Saints bring in another veteran to kind of compete with those two guys, or do they feel comfortable with their QB room?
I think it's they have to bring in another vet. Like I think it's kind of an indictment on Haener at that point. Like 4th-round pick, and they traded up to get him. So I mean, he needs to kind of lock that down. That was kind of what he was brought here to do, was to be the backup quarterback. And if he can't be that, look, I don't think Peterman's really here like to be the backup quarterback. I think he's kind of here as like an asset in the quarterback room. And I could be completely wrong, but just looking at Nathan Peterman's resume, like it kind of feels like he's not there to hold it down if chaos ensues. Like he worked with Janoko with the Bears. Like I think they just liked what he brought to that room, and they're like, all right, like let's get him in this room. He can help teach the program. He can help Derek, like all this stuff. But I think it's beyond just like being the backup. I think Haener needs to be that guy. And then if they bring someone else in, yeah, I think it spells trouble for that pick. And it's kind of an admission that it hasn't worked out yet. And look, I would hope they aren't at that point yet. I thought he was like pretty underwhelming in the preseason, but I thought we saw some stuff in camp that looked pretty solid. So if he continues that, maybe he's made some growth over the last year. Maybe he can be that guy. But push comes to shove, though. Like, I don't think this is a team that should even really spend money on that position, because I don't think they're good enough to try to be worrying about preserving their season if their starter goes down. Like, if the starter goes down and you bring in a $10 million backup and it's Jameis Winston equivalent, like, I don't think that it's keeping things afloat. Like, I think when you make that investment, like, you're a team that's kind of looking to win 10, 11 games. Like, I think the Saints are a team that knows they're probably like a 9-win team, and then there's like a little bit of variance on both sides of that. But if you take Carr out of that equation and you throw in, Ryan Tannehill, like I don't think you're getting to 9 wins, no matter what. So I don't think it's worth the investment. I think they kind of just got to roll with what they got. And if like Hayner's a disaster, like go out and find another league minimum type player. Like there's got to be a McCown somewhere, not doing anything, a guy like that. That would kind of be what I'm looking at. But I wouldn't be looking at like one of these like high upside backup quarterbacks because I don't think the team is there. And I think they're better off just saving that $10 million for, a year from now to invest in a pass rusher or cleaning up the cap. So paying for right now just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football. Nick, I've kept you long enough. You were a wealth of information there, man. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, take it easy, man.
Absolutely. That was Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football. Ran a little long there. We're going to take a timeout. Come back. We're going to recap LSU Baseball against Southern last night. That's coming up on the other side of this break. Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Go to Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, GEAUXTommys.com. Tommy came, it's kind of funny, man. Tommy came down from Virginia many years ago, Jake, to play in the Golden Band from Tigerland. He doesn't like it so much, he decided to stay. Then after he graduates, starts working with Windows. Okay, 27 years Tommy's got in the game. After 2 decades working for somebody else, said, you know what? I've learned a lot. I'm ready to strike out on my own. And Tommy's has grown in those 7 years, taking home 7 Angie Service Awards in a row because of those 2 decades of experience and how to treat your customers and how to provide them with whatever they need. Any type of door, Werner vinyl windows, Hardy Planker vinyl siding. It's all there at GEAUXTommys.com.
You'll love Tommy and the staff. We can promise you that. You also love the website when you go there. Check out what they've done in the past and what they can do for you. So go to that website today. Go to Tommys.com. Call them at 225-250-8808.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Taylor Sharp here with you on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got about 30 minutes or so left with you here on this Tuesday morning, filling in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert, who are out on vacation. Okay, in the last segment, we were joined by Nick Underhill of New Orleans Football. He gave us a ton of info on all things New Orleans Saints. Right now, though, I do want to look back at LSU, and this time it's the LSU baseball team. They played their midweek game against the Southern Jaguars last night, and you really hope this would be a bounce-back spot for the Tigers, a get-right game, if you will, after being swept up in Fayetteville by the Arkansas Razorbacks. Well, that was not the case. They lose 12-7 at the hands of the Southern Jaguars. Going to give you kind of a scoring recap of what happened. Game kind of tight early on, but Southern center fielder Tyler Hawkins, he hit a 3-run homer in the second inning, and then Allison hit a 3-run double in the fifth inning, which also included a 2-run homer by first baseman Donnie Sandifer. That was a 5-run fifth inning. So close the first 2 innings. Southern really jumped on them after that. Relief pitcher for Southern, Antoine Harris, he gets the win. It was his first earned win of the season. He pitched 2 1/3. He limited the Tigers to 5 runs, 2 earned runs on 4 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. LSU right fielder, one of the bright spots offensively for the Tigers, it was Brady Neal. He had a 2-run homer in the 5th inning, his 4th home run of the year. That was a 3-run inning that actually cut Southern's lead 8-5 in that 5th inning. Jaguars added another run. Southern led 9-7 entering the top of the 9th inning. And, you're like, okay, you go a 3-up, 3-down inning. You go to your relievers. You're down by 2 runs in the 9th inning. You feel like you could come back and say, okay, we started slow in this game. They jumped on us, but we've been able to chip away at that lead. Maybe we can take a 2-run deficit into the bottom of the 9th inning, but that is not what happened. Southern actually scored 3 unearned runs in the top of that 9th inning. It was aided by a pair of LSU errors in the field, which is something that has become all too common for this baseball team. That gave Southern a 5-run cushion heading into the bottom of the 9th. LSU would not score at all in the bottom of that 9th inning. On the surface, you say, hey, there's not a ton to take away from this game, but, it was the same old story for LSU, whether it was SEC play or this game last night against the Southern Jaguars. It was untimely hitting. I mean, you just could not get consistent contact and have bat to ball. Southern actually out-hit LSU 11-4 in this game. And Tommy White had 2 out of those 4 hits. He was a bright spot in that game. I mentioned Brady Neal. He had the home run. Michael Braswell, he went 1 for 3. He continues to play really well. That was it. Neal had a hit. Braswell had a hit. Tommy White has 2 hits. Nobody else had a hit. Bear Jones, Hayden Travinsky, Mac Bingham, 3 of the hitters that have been pretty consistent you've been trying to rely on. They went a combined 0 for 10. Stephen Milam continues to struggle. He was 0 for 1. Josh Pearson was 0 for 2. I mean, it was just, it was bad all around. The strikeouts were bad. LSU struck out 9 times in this game. It was bad all around. And you continue to leave so many runners on base. We talked about it in that Friday night matchup alone. That 1-run game against Arkansas, it ended 4-3 after 10 innings. You left 8 runners on base in that ball game. That's the difference in a 1-run game. This was a 2-run game heading into the 9th inning. Now, Southern exploded for 3 more runs in the top of the 9th. That made it a 5-run deficit, but you were right there. You had a chance to win this game. The reason you only had 4 hits, the reason you put up 7 runs, you once again leave too many guys on base because LSU got some free passes last night. I mean, you score 7 runs on only 4 hits. You had runners on base. You just couldn't knock them in, and it continues to be an issue for you. As far as pitching goes, you pieced it together. It was 8 pitchers you threw last night. Cade Anderson got the start. He went 2 innings, not his best outing, and he's a guy that's been really solid so far this year. So he goes 2 innings. He does strike out 6, but 2 walks, 3 runs given up, all of them earned runs. Then you go to Sam Dutton, and Dutton, he had a good game. He was probably your best pitcher last night. He only had 1 strikeout, but he went 2 1/3. He didn't give up any runs, no walks, no hits. So he was solid. Christian Little, once again, struggled. That's been kind of the thorn in your side in the bullpen, if you will. He did not even last a third of an inning. He went in there, he walked a guy, he gave up a hit, he gave up 2 earned runs in less than a third of an inning, did not record an out. Justin Lohr, coming off of his big weekend, because he's a guy that started slow at the beginning of the season, he's picked it up lately. He struggled. He went 2/3 of an inning. He gave up, he had a strikeout, but he gave up 2 hits. He gave up 3 runs, all of them earned. Micah Bucknam, he was solid. He didn't give up any earned runs. He gave up 1 run, but it wasn't earned. Will Helmers was great. 2 strikeouts in an inning and 2/3. 1 walk, 2 hits, but no earned runs. Thatcher Hurd came in. He had control issues. No strikeouts. Only gave up 1 hit. 3 runs given up off of him, all of them unearned because you continue to give up free passes. He had a walk in that game as well. Aiden Moffitt came in. He pitched a third of an inning. He didn't give up a hit, run, nothing, not even a strikeout for him. So he went in there. He did his job. He got the first batter he faced out. Look, I get it. It's a midweek game. You're not as fired up about it as you are against these SEC series. But I really would have liked to see LSU come in and blow the doors off of this game, right? I mean, you struggled to score runs against Arkansas. You got swept. You're 2-7 in SEC play right now. You really needed this. For nothing else to give you confidence going into a really tough series this weekend against the Vanderbilt Commodores, it was the complete opposite. I thought you took a step back. What do you do in the leadoff spot? We were talking about it earlier. Michael Braswell is a candidate for that. Mac Bingham, who kind of looked like he was going to be that guy, he struggled last night, but I'm not going to look too much into that. Bingham was really good in that Arkansas series. He kept you in that final game with 2 home runs in that game 3 on Saturday. So, it's Jay Johnson's just going to have to reevaluate the approach at the plate for this team. He's going to have to shake up the lineup a little bit. If anybody can get it done, it's him. Because what were you able to rely on? This team had kind of struggled to hit. I mean, they were okay in out-of-conference play, but you were like, hey, they're batting .308, but that's out-of-conference. What's that going to look like in conference play? Can they keep that up? They haven't been able to. But at times, you were able to rely on your pitching. Well, your bullpen is struggling. So now you have a struggling bullpen, and you can't hit. That is not a recipe for success if you are the LSU Tigers. All right, look, we're going to take
I was going to say something.
Okay.
So one thing that I've noticed is I feel like, and this might be impacting why they're not doing like the best or whatever, I don't feel like there's like a vocal leader on this team. And it's a little disappointing that number 8 isn't. Because that's supposed to be like the whole thing. And first of all, you're the catcher and you're number 8. I would like to see like somebody stand out and be the vocal leader. Call a team meeting, like a player only meeting, And it just, I don't know. But I agree, the lineup, I feel like we should try Michael Braswell at the top of the order.
I mean, he's been your most consistent guy recently. I mean, he went 1 for 3 last night. We talked about only 4 hits. He had 1 of them. I mean, he's a guy that can do everything you need in a leadoff hitter. They're going to have to do something because this is not going to get any easier. I mean, there's a real chance that they could lose their first 4 SEC series, and you really would not want that to happen. That would be a tough hole to dig yourself out of. All right, look, we're going to take a timeout. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk a little Baton Rouge hockey. We're going to be joined by Lily Gale. She's the sideline reporter for the Baton Rouge Zydeco. We're going to have a little fun here to close out Tuesday's show. That's coming up on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, GEAUXTommys.com. Tommy came, it's kind of funny, man. Tommy came down from Virginia many years ago, Jake, to play in the Golden Band from Tigerland. He doesn't like it so much, he decided to stay. Then after he graduates, starts working with Windows. Okay, 27 years Tommy's got in the game. After 2 decades working for somebody else, said, you know what? I've learned a lot. I'm ready to strike out on my own. And Tommy's has grown in those 7 years, taking home 7 Angie Service Awards in a row because of those 2 decades of experience and how to treat your customers and how to provide them with whatever they need. Any type of door, Werder vinyl windows, Hardy Planker vinyl siding. It's all there at GEAUXTommys.com.
You'll love Tommy and the staff. We can promise you that. You also love the website when you go there. Check out what they've done in the past and what they can do for you. So go to that website today. Go to Tommys.com. Call them at 225-250-8808.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
I do want to remind you, though, get Gordon, get it done, 225-888-8888. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. Look, you get in an accident. You need somebody who's going to fight for you. Gordon's the answer. They've been at it forever, y'all. They're going to stand up to the big insurance companies. And so you're going to get what you deserve, right? Also, remember, Gordon, proud supporters of a lot of your favorite athletes with the G team, where finally these uber talented young college athletes are able to benefit off of said talent thanks to people like Gordon McKernan. So get Gordon, get it done today.
Go to the website, getgordon.com, and there you're going to be able to check past client results, cases they can handle, and what they can do for you in the courtroom. Also, Get Gordon is that handle on all major social media, so multiple ways to get in contact with him. And also your area code in Louisiana, followed by 888-8888.
All right, welcome back into Off the Bench. We got 2 more segments left with you, and I wanted to do this because it's one of the funnest shows in town to go to a Baton Rouge Zydeco game, and we don't talk about it enough on this station. And right now we are joined by the sideline reporter for the Baton Rouge Zydeco, Lily Gale. And for those of you who don't know, me and Lily actually went to Southeastern together, and it's been years since I've talked to her. So how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. Like, life's been fun. Having hockey back in Baton Rouge and being on the team with him, being in the rink with him has been pretty awesome. But Taylor, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Lily, like I said, it's been since college since we've talked, and I graduated a little bit before you. How did you get here with the Baton Rouge Zydeco?
So, you might know Mr. Steve Zavuto. He just said, hey, why don't you email the president of the hockey team and say, hey, this is what I do. Send them your reel, send them your resume, talk to them. And I took a shot in the dark, literally, and I did. I went and talked to them, got the job within 5 minutes of the interview starting. So they were like, can you start on first day of the season? I said, yes, ma'am, put me on right now. So started doing that, and I've been with them since October.
That's awesome. Look, I cannot tell you how many of these games I've been to. I absolutely love it. Like, it's turned me into a hockey fan. I mean, I always casually watch the NHL playoffs, but I'm getting so into it. And I got to ask this question because it's very unique. So this is the inaugural season of the Zydeco, and you guys hired a head coach at the beginning of the year. He and the Zydeco parted ways. Then MJ Graham becomes player coach, which was very interesting. Now you're on your 3rd head coach. Kind of tell us about that process. How did all that play out?
Yeah, so like you said, it's an inaugural season. It's a baby team. You're basically you're a newborn team. You're trying to find your way out. You're trying to take those baby steps, and trying to find a good coach that meshes with the team well was one of the most difficult things that I was able to observe the team go through. You had that first head. Actually, we had a first head coach who didn't even show up, do anything preseason, no practices, nothing. Then you get this other head coach in. He goes in for a few games. He doesn't mesh well with the team. And then MJ steps in, and we thought, okay, this is the momentum we want. He's a good player coach. He can do all this stuff. And then that didn't work out. He wanted to play on the ice again. And then we get Everett Thompson. All right, he just was able to help the Zydeco snatch their very first weekend series. They went 3-0 against the Seawolves, which is our rival. And the team loves them, the crowd loves them, and me being a reporter, you want someone who's professional and answers the questions you have on air. And he really is a great interview. He's a great coach, and he's a great person.
Yeah, and you guys are on a little bit of a run. You just talked about it, winning 3 straight against the Seawolves. How has his energy kind of transformed this team? Because, look, it is hard. You mentioned it. This is the inaugural season. And, while you guys started on a slow start, I mean, there's a lot to build on coming up in year 2.
Yeah, absolutely. So just watching him from my little cubby hole between both teams on ringside, his energy is just infectious. Everyone catches it. He obviously, because he's such a strong energy on the sidelines, he is able to get his point across. He gets people who are usually they do their own stuff. He says, no, you're not doing that. You're doing it my way. I'm coach. You're not. And just be able to see the players respect him in that sense has been awesome to watch.
And, Lily, they announced it at the game. I was at the game on Friday. We went for my brother's birthday, and they announced that the Zydeco are actually 2nd in the league in attendance in just their first season. What have you made of the support that you've seen from this Baton Rouge area?
Baton Rouge is the place to be when it comes to sports. We have the best fans in Baton Rouge and basically in all of Louisiana. Being able to see how people in Baton Rouge and surrounding areas in Louisiana have come to support these guys, especially whenever it's such a young team, it gives me a Moneyball vibe. That old movie back. I say old movie. It's really not that old. But there's smaller organizations that need that support. They're showing up for the guys, and they're treating them like family, which is really awesome. And these people are from Canada and from up north, and they're not used to that sweet home Southern hospitality, and they're getting that right now. And I've talked to a few players, and they say this atmosphere is something we've never experienced before. And being able to give the fans a show and some wins is something that they want to do continuing on in the next season.
Well, the thing I love about going to these games is the interaction that the Zydeco have with their fans. I mean, I don't know who puts on these shows, but the fan interaction that you guys do in between periods is excellent. I mean, who's in charge of that?
So a lot of people. We have a ton of interns who are on the marketing team. We have one coordinator. Her name is Hope. She is literally one of the best people that Zydeco has when it comes to marketing, and her getting the players incorporated into the intermissions, and having some youth hockey league come out and play a few minutes on the ice during intermission is what really has got the fans going. And one person that everyone loves is Michael Haskins. He has been one of the OG players since the very beginning, and he goes out on the ice, he throws the T-shirts, he gets that crowd hyped up, and he said that's one of the reasons why I love doing this is like the fans.
Lily, you guys have 5 games left in this regular season. I know y'all are at the bottom of the standings because it is the first season and you struggled out of the gate, but they're all on the road. I don't know. Do you travel with the team?
No, I don't, but hopefully in season 2 I will be able to travel.
Okay, and what do you think is going to happen the rest of the season? I mean, 5 games left. You got the Port Huron Prowlers, who are a very tough team. I mean, I remember when they were kind of testing the waters here in Baton Rouge. They brought the Prowlers and the Seawolves were 2 of the teams, and the Prowlers they put on a heck of a show. I mean, how do you think the Zydeco are going to do with the 2 games against the Prowlers and then that 3-game series to wrap it up against the Seawolves?
I think they'll be fine. Obviously, because it is the first season and everyone is still trying to learn how to play with each other. We've had trades. We've had people leave the team. People come in, take their spot. Even now, we have a lot of new people on the team, and it's still trying to find a good way to mesh and bring that energy, not only on the bench but on the ice as well, and see who's going to be one of those captains coming into season 2. But I think it's a 50-50 shot on whether they win or lose a game. Obviously, they're on a high right now. That momentum is still going, so I can see them winning at least 2 to 3 games for the next 5.
Well, Lily, look, it was great talking to you. I'm glad to see you're doing well. I'll message you after the show. We'll catch up a little bit because it's been way too long. But congratulations on this gig, and I'm excited for next season.
Thank you, Taylor. I'll see you later.
All right. That was Lily Gale, the sideline reporter of the Baton Rouge Zydeco. Look, we're going to take a timeout. We're going to close it out as we do every day here on Off the Bench with a little bit of Ask the Bench. That's coming up next here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Pinnacle Exterior Construction, PECbuilt.com. PECbuilt.com. If you need fences, pergolas, outdoor kitchens, bulkheads, any of it, it's all there for you at PECbuilt.com. Go look at the website, look at the gallery that they have. What about pools, though? Summer is right around the corner, y'all, and you want to beat the heat this summer with the pool of your dreams. Check out what Pinnacle can offer you. They can do a fully custom job if you want, but their spec pools are very interesting. They're very affordable. There's financing, normal options available, and you choose from a number of templates, and then you choose detail work within the template, so you make it your own, and in 2 weeks, you have a pool. Go to PECbuilt.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob. ESPN Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Alexandria, and 1130 The Tiger.
Go to AccuTemp Baton Rouge, AccuTempBR.com, AccuTempBR.com. You want service to the highest degree? You want to go to AccuTemp for all your AC, heat, and electrical needs, y'all. And you know, take control of your comfort zone today. You turned your heat on last night, Alondra, you said, right? Okay, well, if you had a problem, you call up AccuTemp and you will be blown away. And I swear to you, you are never going to want to go anywhere else ever again. You're in the market for a whole home generator? They're your answer as well. AccuTempBR.com, AccuTemp, Baton Rouge.
Yeah, and since it's not truly spring yet, you got the heater, AC. You know, you don't want to shock the system.
It's
and
literally,
so
that's how spring works.
If AccuTemp comes out, they're going to make sure that your system can also go back and forth. You don't turn the heater in spring. And you can find that information and how to get them to your home to make sure you don't shock the system at AccuTempBR.com, AccuTempBR.com.
All right, welcome back into the final segment of our Tuesday edition of Off the Bench. We're going to wrap it up like we do every single day with a little Ask the Bench. Half of these I cannot ask on the air, but we do have a couple. Scott Dice has Ask the Bench, favorite gas station chicken. I don't know about you guys, but out in Walker, we have a gas station. We just call it On the Run. I mean, it's your typical Exxon station, but the gas station itself is On the Run. They have a crispy, crunchy chicken attached to it. You got the 8-piece Cajun tenders with the Cajun sauce. It is delicious. Beck, what about you, man?
There's a place in Grand Isle called Joe Bob's, and they have Crispy Crunchy. And I really do think that it's better than any other Crispy Crunchy. I don't know why. I've had it at other places, but I really do think theirs is better. I think they just cook it a different way.
Alondra, gas station chicken fan? Yay or nay?
Does Blue Store count?
I mean, can you get gas there?
No, but it's like a corner store.
Yeah, Blue Store is very good. Ask the Bench, Cheetos, crunchy or puffed? So when I was little, I used to like the puffed Cheetos. They're like 90% air. I'm going crunchy. Not only are they easier to eat, they got a lot more flavor. Crunchy or puffed, guys?
Puff.
Puffed, okay.
Damn, you like yelled in my ear on that one.
A lot of people.
My headphones are like loud.
I go crunchy because puff is like, sometimes it kind of gets stuck in the roof of your mouth.
Yeah, that's true.
On it, so I go crunchy.
Ask the Bench. Golly, people were on a gas station kick today. Favorite gas station, like your specific one? I actually have an answer to this question. So every morning, I kind of live right in the middle of town out there in Walker. And every morning I stop at the Shell station right next to the McDonald's. It's right off the interstate. I fill up. I go get my delicious, wonderful energy drinks from there every single morning. It is my favorite gas station in the entire world.
I love a good Murphy's, you know.
Yep.
Like
their
there's a
gas is
Murphy's on
always
Burbank.
good.
Yeah.
That's the one I go to as well. I live pretty close to that one. The gas is always cheaper there, so it's the go-to.
All right, ask the bench your go-to cheese on a sandwich. So I love cheese. For a cheeseburger itself, which I eat like twice a week, I'm going your basic cheddar cheese or your pepper jack. Those are my two for your burger. As far as like a turkey sandwich or something like that, I like provolone. Provolone. I remember when Subway switched from Swiss to provolone. I was upset. Love it now.
I like Colby Jack cheese.
I go pepper
But
jack.
I mean, it just kind of depends on the sandwich that I'm getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if it's like I'm making the sandwich at home, I love me some Colby Jack.
I almost always go pepper jack, but I also like Gouda as well.
Yeah, if I go to Subway, I get pepper jack.
Ask the bench. Taylor, is your favorite flower a lily? My favorite flower is actually not a lily. It's a rose. I got them for my wife last week for our 1-year wedding anniversary, and they're holding strong. They're still there on our dining room table.
That
So
is
no,
so
it is
funny.
it is not a lily. It is a rose.
I see one that I want to answer.
Okay, what is
Gulf South asked the bench, what show does the girl from yesterday usually work? The girl from yesterday's name is Cassie, and she is on Hunt's show every now and then. They like split that
Every
show.
other day,
But
yeah.
so Cassie on Hunt Palmer's show does video for him. She's the best. Shout out Cassie. She'll be back in tomorrow doing video.
Yeah, she is. All right, look, that's going to do it for Ask the Bench. Great questions there, guys. Wish I could answer them all on air, but not the case. We ran a little bit long there. So wrapping things up, look, we opened the show, obviously, with LSU women's basketball, their Elite Eight loss to the Iowa Hawkeyes. Then we talked some LSU football, some New Orleans Saints. People were yelling at me in the chat to do LSU baseball, so we did a quick recap there. The Tigers lose 12-7 to the Southern Jaguars. They got the Vanderbilt Commodores coming up for a 3-game series this weekend to kick off the 9 o'clock hour. We were joined by Nick Underhill. We also talked to Zach Nagy of LSU Country. He gave us a boots-on-the-ground LSU spring practice report. And then just in our last segment, Lily Gale, the sideline reporter for the Baton Rouge Zydeco, joined us. Look, I'm here for you one more day as T-Bob won't be back till Thursday. So tune in, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Head over to the MMR group today if you want to ignite your career. If a dynamic culture and outstanding benefit sounds good to you, if working for the largest electrification and electrification, that's not a word. If working for the largest electrical and instrumentation contractor in the entire electrification should be a word. Contract sounds good to you. Well, check it out, man. I don't care. Look, you're a student seeking internships. You're going to start that career off real early. Well, they got pathways for you to explore. They can kind of lead you down the right direction. But even if you're a seasoned pro, you're just starting out, I want you to go apply now at mmrgrp.com. It's mmrgrp.com and see what they can offer you. Remember, headquartered for over 3 decades right here in Baton Rouge, but offices all over the globe.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, Our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.